the shows here. Let me see if I can figure that out. Anyway, we're going to be talking about a host of different things that have gone on this week. And this is going to be Friday Night Politics. This is kind of a mashup, so to speak. Why the hell does it say my account is streaming on other devices? Am I in the wrong thing here? Let's see something here. Oh, yep, I sure am. Okay, so while I'm dealing with that, I'll go ahead and give you the spiel of today's show. And listen. And by the way, this is one where we actually open up the forum where we can talk about whatever. This is when I say Friday Night Politics, this is where we literally just have an open forum and we talk about whatever's coming up. So this will certainly be one of those here tonight. If I can get something fixed here. There we go. All right. So starting out, I want you to hear this because I'm wondering if Trump is not, to some degree, making us a laughing stock around the world. This is President Trump once again suggesting that, I think they're saying this normally should be good news, but I'm not so sure in this case. President Trump is claiming that the war in Iran is over or somewhat near being over. But here's the problem with him saying that. I want you to hear this particular newscast because this, to me, explains damn near all of this and why it's so crazy to keep hearing this shit over and over and over again.
It feels like deja vu, but US President Donald Trump tonight insists a deal to end the Iran war is close. It's the 39th time he's made that claim. The White House called off new strikes just 3 hours before they were due to launch. Tehran denies peace is within reach.
An abrupt reversal in the Oval Office, the Commander-in-Chief telling his troops to back down.
We just made a great settlement, subject to finalization of documents. We should get done.
And I'm not going to play the whole clip, but you hear the accent from the news reporter. I know this channel when I lived overseas. This is Channel 7 in Australia. They have nationwide networks, so you can watch the same channel and it's broadcast all over the country. This is Channel 7 News in Australia. So you hear Australian news saying that Trump has said this war has been over with 39 times. So you got to assume the Australians, one of our greatest allies, country that has fought on the side of Americans in every war, you got to assume they're taking us as a joke at this point. Kel Brew, yeah! Appreciate the hat and mustache. I want you to hear her again.
US President Donald Trump tonight insists a deal to end the Iran war is close. It's the 39th time he's made that claim.
39th time. What the actual fuck? 39th time. So, I mean, he's lied so much about this or it's understated this so much. They're now keeping tabs on how often he's done it. That's bad. I will submit to you that that's really bad that he's done this 39 times. That's really crazy. But we'll certainly talk about this. I want to know from you folks, do you actually trust what the Trump administration is telling you about this war? 39 times is significant. 39 times kind of makes you wonder if it's being done deliberate. I mean, how many times can you keep saying something before people start saying you must be pulling our chain? 39 times. Wow. So I do want to talk about that, and I want to hear your opinion on this. And whether or not, do you think this time is the charm? 39th time is the charm. Do you think this time it actually is going to be over with? Go figure. Also, in addition to that, this one here is another one that I just, for the life of me, cannot understand. I don't understand what is the purpose of this one, but you've probably heard of it. And the Trump administration, once again, is back in court fighting over this shit.
There's an effort by President Trump to put President Trump's name on the Kennedy Center building. A board of trustees chosen by President Trump voted yesterday to appeal a recent court ruling that ordered the name be removed from the structure. The case centers on a decision by U.S. District Judge Casey Cooper, who ruled in late May that the board broke the law when it added the president's name to the building. The judge ordered that the name be removed within 14 days. The board is now challenging that ruling.
What is the purpose of this? Now, a judge ordered that when this memorial was created for the late John F. Kennedy, Congress is the one that named it. So the judge is saying that only Congress can change the name of it. So they ordered that Trump's name come off the Kennedy Center. The Trump administration is appealing that judge's ruling. Why are we wasting taxpayer money fighting to keep his name on a memorial for a guy that's still alive? I mean, we talk about waste, fraud, and abuse. We talk about Elon Musk and Doge. How the hell does anybody support this? And I want to hear from my beloved MAG on this. Does anybody support this guy using taxpayer money to fight to keep his name on a memorial while he's actually alive? I don't understand this whatsoever. So once again, we'll talk about that. And by the way, this is going to be an open forum. So we're going to be talking about pretty much whatever the audience direction they take us in as well. Here's one that I think is a very big fan favorite of MAGA. And as somebody who has lived internationally and driven in other countries, I personally, I don't understand this one. Maybe it's the bleeding heart liberal in me. I don't understand this one, and I don't know if I fully support it.
Week, Tennessee lawmakers passed a bill that would require driver's license tests to be in English only. The bill was introduced by Republican Representative Kip Capley. It allows for a one-time exception, letting an applicant take the written driver's test exam in their native language before having to take the test in English and pass it 3 years later. The proposal is part of a major immigration reform package meant to close enforcement gaps and make sure immigration laws are being followed across the state.
Now, the point with this one is to take a driver's license test, you got to be able to take the test in English to get a driver's license. And you also got to be proficient in English to get license plates. So basically, if you don't speak English, you can't drive in America for any length of time. How does this make sense? Now, I'm going to tell you, for someone like myself, I've mentioned all the time I've lived in Australia, I've been in New Zealand, I've driven in Canada before. I've driven cars in Mexico. I've driven in the Bahamas. A few weeks ago, I was driving in Turks and Caicos. And by the way, New Zealand, Turks and Caicos, the Bahamas, and Australia are all left-hand drive countries, or better yet, right-hand drive countries. So you're driving on the right-hand side of the car, and you're on the other side of the street. I didn't have to take any special test. They didn't require anything, but I showed them my American license. And I was able to do that. I'm going to submit to you that I would rather drive in a country that I don't speak the language than drive on the other side of the street and sit on the other side of the car while driving. To me, that's actually much harder than driving in a country where you don't speak the language. Because many of the traffic signs are international. A stop sign is generally an octagon or a big ass red circle all over the world. And it's going to be placed right at the intersection. You know what that means. Same thing with street lights, red, green, and amber. They mean the same thing all over the world. Some places they don't have the amber light, it just goes from red and green. You don't really need to speak the language to drive safely on the roads. And I'll submit this to you because, like I said, I've driven in Canada, Bahamas, Australia, all these other places. All of those places operate on the metric system. So if they tell you a bridge is out 2 kilometers ahead, most Americans don't know what a kilometer or a meter, most Americans don't know the metric system. So should Americans be prevented from driving in every country that uses the metric system? Because Americans drive in all of these countries. Plenty of Americans, particularly GIs that are in the military, they go to foreign countries in Europe and things like that. They drive. There are American bases in Germany and in Japan. They don't tell the American, you got to know how to speak Japanese or German to drive. Why the hell is it being done here? Explain to me how this isn't essentially hate, immigrant hate. Because as I just pointed out, Americans are able to drive in all sorts of countries that they don't speak the language. In fact, we were driving in, we drive in all of the Middle East. I mean, there's all sorts of Americans driving in the Middle East. You don't speak those languages. Tell me how this is not some form of hatred towards the immigrant. And speaking of hatred, I'm going to give you this last topic before we start taking callers. Tap the screen. I'm going to need you to get the likes on up to 10,000 as always. We'll take our first caller. I do want you to hear this because this, just like the
is among a group of
just
migrants.
like the requirement for basically non-English speakers to learn English, this one is also going to probably be a fan favorite for MAGA.
Indian woman is among a group of migrants being deported from the United States to the Central African Republic, according to immigration lawyers. The woman had previously received court protection against deportation to Iran after judges ruled that she faced a credible risk of persecution based on her political views or religious beliefs. The deportation flight left Louisiana and was carrying migrants from several countries, including Iran, Afghanistan, Syria, Jordan, and Turkey. Lawyers and human rights advocates have criticized the Trump administration's policy of sending migrants to third countries rather than returning them directly to their countries of origin. The Central African Republic is one of the world's poorest nations and has faced years of conflict and instability, raising concerns about the safety of deported migrants. Several emergency court orders temporarily blocked the deportation of other migrants on the same flight, but at least one Iranian woman was reportedly still scheduled to arrive in the country.
Now, obviously, the voice is AI, but the story is accurate. What I want to get across to you folks, and tap the screen, get us up to 10,000, we'll take the first caller. Why is the richest nation on earth, geographically the third largest nation on earth, deporting people to dirt poor countries? Why are we sending people to Africa? I mean, we have significantly more wealth than the countries we're deporting people to. And we are sizably, considerably larger. Why are we sending folks to these countries like that? What is the purpose of that? Somebody's got to explain that to me to make it so that I don't continue believing it's just about hatred. Why would we deport somebody from Iran or from the, Hispanic nations to Africa, to countries that are dirt poor? Why would you do that? What is the purpose of that? Somebody got to help me out with this. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 10,000. You guys know how the show is ran. We don't block, ban, or censor anyone. This is Friday Night Politics. So the show can go in a variety of directions. We're going to be talking about, essentially, it's going to be a mashup of all of the shit that's been going on over the last week or so. Doesn't matter what your politics are. We don't block, ban, or censor you. Our comments go left of Mom Donnie to I'm having dinner with Q. We are MAGA friendly, always have been MAGA friendly. Always will remain MAGA friendly. Liberals are welcome as well. You can be critical of anybody on the program, including yours truly. So looking in the comments, all those videos of non-English speaking truck drivers driving the wrong way down the interstate highways must all be AI. No, I don't think the folks that are non-English speaking driving down a highway, I don't believe those videos are AI. I believe they're legit. I just believe it's a case of literally trying to find needles in haystacks to make your point. The overwhelming majority of immigrant drivers in this country are not involved in one-way accidents and all the shit you're talking about. This is very similar to the Lincoln Riley or the eating cats and dogs, or anything can be made to look awful if you specifically look for the worst among a group. There are a ton of immigrants that have been driving on America's highways just about our entire lives. And the overwhelming majority of them are not getting in fatal collisions and all of that shit. But if you just highlight the ones that do and use those accidents to paint all of them, you can try to make the point that they're all dangerous. This is similar to election fraud. Find whatever case you can find to suggest that it's happening everywhere when it's not. I don't, and like I just stated, there are plenty of Americans driving in countries where they don't speak the language there, and it's allowed. It's allowed. So I don't understand why all of a sudden, if you drive on America's streets, you're going to suddenly become some kind of chaotic danger to everybody when we can go overseas and drive on their streets and not do it. I was just in Turks and Caicos 2 months ago, maybe even less, 2 months ago or so, driving on the other side of the road, and nobody required anything special from me. I didn't crash into any damn body. Looking in the comments, there are some no English-speaking drivers who are also safe, just trying to make a living. Shirt 14, I think that's most of them. I think that's if there were really a significant level of non-English speaking drivers crashing into people and hurting people, you would have no problem with the liberal states passing laws like this as well. It's not happening because the accidents are not happening. If they were really going around ramming up and killing people, you would have both sides passing laws like this. It wouldn't just be in red states. Let me go straight to the box. We'll start it out with Gangsta Grandma. Good evening, Gangsta. Welcome to the program.
I know your ugly ass is going to stop clumping today. I know your ass is. You always say you love it naked.
Well, I'll tell you, you missed the Carmelo Anthony stuff, so we should be safe. What do you think, though?
You know what? All of the parasites think that kid got what he deserved. He did it.
Well,
the white kid did the exact same thing, and he got 10 years. But this kid gets 35. Make that make sense, right?
I don't want to go too deep into it, but I do think he deserves to be in prison. Maybe not 35 years, but he deserves to be in prison.
You need to shut the fuck up. How about that? I think your fat ass is going to die. How about that?
That's
what I fucking think. You feel what I'm saying?
I feel what you're saying.
I don't think. Let me tell you something. If we defend ourselves, we go to jail. If we don't, we're unalive. Go fucking figure, right? Shut the hell up. And you know what? Let me tell you, I'm going to break this shit down to you for one more last damn time. Because on God, you really are. When these motherfucking bitches come up in here and say this, and kiss my ass, Stephen D. Get off my dick, bitch. I got 12 inches for you. Get off my dick. I know your white trailer trash ass loves it, but get off of it, bitch. I have too many minutes.
What are you getting at? What are you saying people come in here and say?
They always say, how about black on black crime? You feel what I'm saying? That's all they say. Oh, black on black crime. Do you realize that we have 80% of violent crimes? 80. But guess who has higher? 84% is the white team. They
took Gangsta Grandma off already? Wow. That was crazy. All right, but they took her off. Nothing I can do. And I see in the comments, Danny Dan says, damn, you pissed her off in less than a minute. I didn't say anything. I didn't do anything to her. I let her speak. I didn't even challenge her. I think that there are folks that are reporting her. Because I don't know. Well, she did say a few things. I don't know. But I certainly did. I didn't even get to the point where I challenged her. So I didn't do anything to piss her off. She came in already angry. And then, of course, when I said Carmelo Anthony should be in prison, she didn't like that. But I didn't say anything. By the way, real quick, like I said, I don't want to rehash Carmelo Anthony, but I do want to ask, how many of you folks have seen movies like Karate Kid, Mean Girls, Back to the Future with Biff? Remember Back to the Future? Biff was bullying not only Michael J. Fox, but bullying the guy who was playing his father. Do you believe those bullies should have been killed? Because that's kind of what happens. Bullies are in every school in America. And oftentimes bullies are bigger than the person they're bullying. And bullies often run with a crew. If we allow Carmelo Anthony to kill somebody because of a shove, that means Ralph Macchio should have been able to kill Johnny and Karate Kid because he was certainly being bullied. Johnny and the Karate Kid ran with a crew, and he did a lot more than just shoved the Karate Kid. I mean, all of these shows, Biff and Back to the Future, he would have been a victim of a stabbing. I mean, just think about that. If we allow somebody that's bullying another person, and this guy, Carmelo Anthony, was just shoved. We're saying it is okay to actually take his life. The bullies I'm mentioning, Johnny really did beat the hell out of Ralph Macchio and Karate Kid a few times. Same thing, Biff was punching the hell out of Michael J. Fox's father in Back to the Future. Can you imagine? Hell, what do we say? Popeye should have been able to kill Bluto. Jerry should have been able to kill Tom. To me, I think it's excessive. Anyway, let me go on. Let me get on with the show, and I'll go straight to the box. I don't know if they ended up. Unfortunately, they took Gangsta Grandma down, and I don't know why. I think she got reported. We'll start it out with Doomsday, Straight Talk Commerce. Good evening.
What's up?
Not much at all, you know.
I reminded myself, you came by earlier, just before you went live.
Yes.
You came by, and I failed to thank you, and I appreciate that. You always give me support. Thank you very much for doing that.
No problem.
Always nice to talk to you. Hey, listen, can I tell you, but before you move off of Carmelo Anthony?
Sure.
He did not, this is my personal opinion. He did not go to prison for 35 years because of what happened prior to the stabbing, okay? It's what him and his family did after that got him the 35 years.
Which is?
They had the father arrested at their press conference. They did not come out and apologize to the family. They didn't make the family of the victim the focus. They received $700,000 for the defense fund. Not one dime of it went toward a memorial for the victim. Not one dime of it went to
Whoa.
a scholarship for the person that the guy killed.
You're telling me that if people were giving GoFundMe money to Carmelo Anthony, you expecting to use some of that money to put on Austin Metcalf's memorial?
100%.
That's never going to happen.
Hold on. Hey, listen, there is a very good YouTube channel that did a very deep dive on that.
That's never going to happen. The people are. Let me just say this: if they did what you're suggesting, people would stop donating money to Carmelo. The people don't want their money going to Austin Metcalf.
They probably would have gotten more money.
No, he would not.
Tim, when you show you have no remorse over what happened, you can still use the defense of self-defense.
So let me ask you. You believe that when people were donating money to George Zimmerman, they wanted some of that to go to Trayvon Martin's memorial?
Did George Zimmerman go to jail? How much time did he serve?
When they donated money, he was found out. Let's use Derek Chauvin. If somebody I said zero. Let's use Derek Chauvin. If people are donating money to Derek Chauvin, you think that those folks want that money to go to George Floyd's memorial? He's serving years.
If Derek Chauvin had come out and apologized and said, I made a horrible mistake, he wouldn't have done one day in jail. And by the way, this isn't me saying that, Tim. There is an entire video documentary about the difference between taking responsibility for what you've done, and they use these cases, some of the ones you just mentioned. And one man killed 4 people in a drunk driving incident. There is a NFL football player that went to the family and reached a financial settlement. He didn't spend one day in jail.
So if you were fighting your case, let me just say that if you're fighting your case and you go and do what you say, which is show remorse, isn't that admitting you're guilty? That kind of destroys your whole case.
No, it doesn't, because his defense was, I did this out of self-defense.
Then why are you apologizing for it? Go ahead, Mike. What are you asking?
First of all, who was the NFL player?
I don't know the guy's name. Is it black dude played for the Seahawks, I think?
Yeah, I'm sure you know. When did Jeff Metcalf get arrested?
Hey, Michael?
When did Jeff Metcalf get arrested?
Who?
Austin Metcalf.
You said Austin.
Oh, no, Jeff Metcalf. When they did the press conference, one of the press conferences, he showed up right after this happened, and they didn't get arrested. They called the police on the victim's father.
You said he got arrested.
No, I didn't.
You did say he got arrested.
I tried to have him arrested, dum-dum.
No, you said he got arrested.
I said they tried to have him arrested.
Would you like to bet me on this, since you always talk?
They tried to have him arrested.
So you can see.
I'm just don't want to argue the point with you.
Well,
You're
but
a
again,
moron. Why are you talking to me?
words matter. You said he got arrested.
Did they try to have him arrested or
No,
not?
they didn't. They had him to be removed from the press conference.
Yeah.
They did not try to
They
have him
called the
arrested.
police to do it.
And isn't that what they're supposed to do?
No, they're supposed to give the man the microphone.
Wait a
And
minute.
What?
They're supposed to
No, they're
allow
not.
him.
No, they're
The
not.
reason that you listen, you want to go to jail for 50 years
No,
by
no,
all means.
listen. No. You can say whatever you want.
Let that kid rot in jail.
They had no legal precedence to let him do anything at that press conference.
You're right. But their kid is now in prison for 35 years, and he'll stay there.
He'll be out in 3.
Congratulations. You
He'll
made
be
a
out on
point.
his appeal in 3.
I doubt it very seriously.
He'll be out on his appeal in 3.
You really believe? Wait, hold on. You really believe he's getting out, Mike, in 3 years?
No,
He'll be
he
out on
doesn't
appeal.
believe that.
Whenever the
It
appeal
sounds
happens,
good to say.
whenever the appeal happens, he will get released.
No, he
Yes.
won't.
I think I don't think he's getting released.
Maybe in New York.
Here's the thing, Tim. I came up specifically because words matter. Because if you listen to what he just said, they had Jeff Metcalf's dad arrested. Then he changed it to they tried to get him arrested. Then he changed it to they should have let him speak in a place where they weren't obligated to let him.
I was saying that the whole time.
All 4
The
things
whole
he said
time.
were
I would have
bullshit.
advised if that kid would not be doing 35 years. If he
Again.
listened to you, he would be
Again.
doing 100.
Let me ask you this, Doomsday. Let me ask you this. If you have children, right?
I had 3.
When you used to take your children to McDonald's, because we all have when they were little, and they go sit
Take them
down.
out.
And they go sit down. I'm talking about when they were juveniles, and they go sit down at a table while you go to the counter and order. You turn around and somebody is telling your kids to get out of the seats they're in. What are you going to tell your kids to do?
Why are they asking my kid to get out of the seat?
That's not what well, first of all, I'm glad you said that. But what are you going to tell them to do?
Well, number one, they're in a public place.
Because they want that.
They're in a public place. That's not what happened here.
It
He was
It's
in a
exactly
place
what
that he
happened.
wasn't supposed to be.
It's
What are you trying
exactly
to
what
say?
happened. It was a public place, and they had no reason to ask him to move.
Yes, they did.
out of that
He was
seat.
under the wrong tent.
No,
He was
that's
trying
not
to
true.
steal from those
So here's the thing.
track athletes,
Here's
and
the
they
thing.
knew it.
Here's the thing about what you're saying. Nothing
He
you
was in
said.
an unauthorized area, Mike.
Nothing you said that was testified to. What you just said was not testified.
Let me interrupt because I gotta say, Mike, I'm more on straight talk to some degree. Do you believe that Carmelo Anthony had the right legally to stab the guy?
Absolutely. He thinks he should be able to do anything he fucking wanted.
Absolutely. He had the right. He had the right. First of all,
This is who you bring up, Tim.
Yeah, I know because you haven't read any of the transcripts.
Yes, I
can tell.
have. No, I haven't read the transcript, but I've been watching.
Okay,
I've been
so
paying
you're
attention.
talking about stuff you don't know about because he was invited underneath the tent.
By who?
Eddie.
Who's Eddie?
He was
There
a
were
kid
only 2
underneath.
people under the
He
tent
was a
when this
kid
happened.
underneath.
You don't even know what you're talking
No,
about.
I do. So if I don't know,
from your ass right now.
Eddie was a guy underneath the tent at Winston Memorial that invited him up, and it was testified in court that happened. Next,
That's why his own
Again.
witnesses.
again,
His own witnesses said no. He was
I-
defending himself.
I can't look. It's hard for me.
I'm this shit. I'm shocked that you're not.
you see what I'm saying, Tim?
Yeah, I don't see all of what you're saying. To me, I think it's shocking that all you got to do is push someone, and they can make the leap from that I'm in danger and it's okay to kill someone.
That's not everything that happens, Tim.
He's as ignorant as they come.
Did you read the transcripts, Tim?
I've read enough of it. To me, at this point, I've seen enough of it that I don't see where Carmelo Anthony's life was in danger enough to kill somebody. I don't see it. I don't see it.
Michael would love
You
to
just like this dum-dum are coming to the end result of what happened to him. You guys are following the law. The bottom line is this, Tim.
Oh,
By the law.
because I did what we think is pretty much the
why
kid does
he's gonna
35
raise his
years.
appeal,
You're the
Tim.
one doing 3. Okay?
I don't think there's any chance, Mike, that this guy does only 3 years and gets out. I doubt it.
Whenever he gets
I
to
doubt
his
he
appeal,
makes it to 3. But go ahead.
whenever he gets to his appeal, whether it's 3 or 5 years, he will win for a myriad of reasons. But I know people like
because
him
you're effing dum-dum.
people like him didn't read the transcript, and he's up here saying he did, and he's wrong.
What all? Let me ask you. Since you read the transcript, Mike, what all violence did Carmelo Anthony sustained? What all was done to him?
Well, again, when it comes to being testified, here's what I'm saying, Tim. The testimony was not conclusive. It's beyond a reasonable doubt, yes or no.
No, I'm asking you. No, I just want to know what happened to him. No, I'm asking you serious. What all violence did he sustain? What physically happened to him?
First of all, he's talking to me. Talks. He was grabbed by Austin. He was confronted by Austin Manhunter.
Confronted is not violence. What did he sustain? What confronted is not violence. What did he sustain?
Well, wait a minute. He was grabbed. That's an assault.
Okay, I agree with that. A bouncer can grab you to get you out of a club. Okay, he was grabbed.
Again, Tim, nobody can grab you to get you out of a club unless they don't want you there. And that's a
So, okay, he was grabbed. Keep going. He was grabbed. What other violence did he sustain?
You were a bouncer, right, Tim?
Yeah. Grab people all the time, and I never thought of one of them stabbing me to death.
Based on your job, based on a private establishment.
What? So continue. What? Okay, he was grabbed. What other violence did he sustain?
Okay, well, that was enough. First of all,
No, it's not to kill somebody. You can't kill somebody over being grabbed.
Tim, here's the problem with what you're saying, Tim.
Okay.
You read the law.
I'm asking you who did. I'm asking you. You read it, Mike. What else? What other violence did you said it's hold on. You said it's enough, but I want to. Did he sustain any other violence other than being grabbed?
That was enough.
I get it, but is there anything else?
No. But here's the thing. Hold on, Tim. Here's the thing, Tim. You're laughing.
I don't. It's crazy.
Hold on, Tim. Underneath Texas Penal Code 9.32, they didn't need anything else to happen. Here's the reason, Tim. Because they overcharged it. First of all, they overcharged it because in order for murder, you have to prove intent and knowingly. And knowingly, they didn't prove that. That's the bottom line.
You know how many people, Mike, get wrongfully grabbed by the cops for stuff they didn't do? Maybe you're walking out of Walmart and they think you're stealing and they grab you. They have no legal right to. If we allow people to kill folks for that, people are going to be dropping dead everywhere. People get wrongfully grabbed all the time.
I wish you guys would fucking read.
I'm asking you. I'm getting it from you.
You're the one supposed to know everything.
What I'm telling you, and when I tell you, you guys are telling me that I'm wrong and neither one
I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying I don't see enough to justify murdering someone.
But again, the problem that you're having is the problem that he's having. Again, the problem that you're both having is you guys aren't listening.
No,
the law in Texas, Tim, the law in Texas, this wouldn't apply in California at all. They wouldn't apply in Chicago at all. Unfortunately, in Texas, it applies. It's not me, it's what they say.
Have you ever heard of Michael Dredka?
Say again?
Michael Dredka. He's the guy down in Florida where he shot an African American. You had an African American couple go to a gas station. The man got out of the car, left the wife in the car. And while the black man is in the gas station, an old white guy came out and was pissed off about where they were parked at and started arguing with the woman in the car. He didn't touch her. He didn't reach in the car. He didn't do anything. The white man, the husband comes out, sees the old white man arguing with his woman, shoves the old white man to the ground. The white dude shot and killed the black man. The African-American community was not saying, well, he put his hand. We totally disagree with that, even though it was a black man putting his hands on a white guy and losing his life. The same argument you're making now, we didn't make it then. We believed in that case the white guy was wrong.
Yeah, no, wait a minute. What did the law say?
The law said he's doing 20 years in prison for it. Florida, stand your ground state. He got 20 years in prison for that.
Well, by the way, I'm glad you said that. Do you know that when it comes to black people invoking the stand your ground law, they're only successful 1% of the time?
I agree with that. I agree with all of that.
But again, Tim, back to the case. When you read, that is true. Look it up.
And real quick in the comments, folks who are saying a gun is different than a knife. If pull out a knife on a cop, pull out a gun and see what's the difference. Tell me the difference in how that cop responds.
Your heart.
Can I finish?
Okay, I'll let you finish. I got to move it on, but I'll let you
You
finish,
just
Mike.
don't know it.
You guys, again, you have every time I come up, you never read shit. I'm always
Every time you come up, I shut my brain off.
Well,
I don't want to be
you're
infected
wrong.
by your
You're
dumbness.
wrong, and you know I cook your ass every
No,
time.
the only thing you cook is your own turds.
Here's the bottom line, Tim. Here's the bottom line.
Real quick, Mike, let Mike wrap it up. I'll finish with Trey Talk. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, he can say what he wants when he hasn't read. The reason I know and I feel strongly that he's going to win on his appeal because there were a lot of things in that case that they did that were misrepresented from all of the testimony from the prosecution. And the fact that he doesn't know who Eddie is, this moron right underneath me, Eddie was friends with Carmelo. He sat on that stand and said he didn't really know him, but the defense pulled up multiple pictures where they had been multiple get-togethers and gatherings together. Carmelo
Real talk,
went
thank you.
He actually went and picked up Eddie, and they went places together. Eddie was the one that waved him underneath the tent to come sit with him. He was underneath that tent with Eddie for 10 minutes.
I hear it. Let me ask you, Mike. Let me ask you. Okay, go ahead.
He was underneath that tent with Eddie for 10 minutes before the Metcalf brothers got there. So ask yourself this, Tim. For 10 minutes. For 10 minutes.
I'm not arguing that Austin Metcalf was. I'm not arguing that Austin Metcalf was in the wrong. Okay, I'm listen. And by the way, I'll let you finish. But I'm not arguing with you that Austin Metcalf was not in the wrong. I'm just not hearing enough to justify lethal force. Go ahead and finish.
In the state of Texas, it's not Tim. In the state of Texas, it is the burden is not there. Don't argue with me. Argue with the laws in Texas. Do you know the Joe Horn case in Texas, Tim? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No.
Joe Horn, and you can look this up. I'm sure Straight Talks doesn't know. Joe Horn was a white man who saw two black men breaking into his neighbor's home. He called 911 and said, I see two people breaking into my neighbor's home. He got his shotgun, and the people on 911 said, nope, stay in the house, don't go out there. He went out there anyway. He approached them as they were leaving his neighbor's house. They were running away, and he pew-pewed both of them in their back, and they died. He got off on that case in Texas behind the same penal codes, Tim. The same penal codes. Well, what?
Well, I mean, what I'm about to say. Well, if what you're saying is right, hopefully the Austin, the Carmelo family will benefit from that. I need to see more of that. I need to see, because I'm just telling you, I don't see where Carmelo Anthony was defending his life. I see Carmelo Anthony making a choice.
Cason Allison, a white dude, just before this case, unalived a Mexican on a scheduled fight they had at the high school in the bathroom. In the bathroom, the kid poked that kid 12 times and ran from the scene. He didn't. You know what he got charged with, Tim?
What?
He got charged with negligent, negligible, whatever. He got 10 years.
Now let me ask you two questions. First question I want to ask you is: do you believe that had Carmelo Anthony not stabbed this guy, he would have been dead or beaten to a pulp? Do you believe he had no option? He was cornered. I get the Texas law. I'm not arguing the law with you. I'm just saying, do you believe he did that was the only way he had out was to take his life?
I believe he was going to get his ass stomped in them bleachers.
No way he could have ran or got away at all. He had to do this to get away.
He wasn't going nowhere, and he has no duty to retreat.
That ain't what I'm asking you, though. I get the law. I'm asking you, though. Are you saying that he had to do this? Are you saying that he had to do this or die?
I believe that he had a right to defend himself.
So he didn't have to do it. So in other words, he didn't have to do it. The law just allowed him to do it, is what you're saying.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's.
If you want to argue the law, then what the fuck are we talking about? See, this is the problem.
Now I want to ask you a second question. Like for time, I got to move it on. But for a second question, if you had a child that was bigger and stronger, and he was harmed by a much smaller guy, but it turns out on video your child did do what Austin Metcalf did, you would believe that the person that killed your child should walk, correct?
Yes. You know why, Tim? You know why? Because we teach our kids kids to don't bully and keep your motherfucking hands to yourself. And if you're gonna sit here on your live and tell me when you were growing up that your mama and your daddy didn't tell you the same thing that I just said, then you would be disingenuous. And then I'm gonna ask you this: when you were growing up, why do we always have to comply when the laws are supposed to work for all of us? Austin Metcalf and Hunter could have left him the fuck alone like they were supposed to, Tim. They had no choice.
Not arguing any of that. Not arguing any of that. I'm just simply saying I don't think what Austin Metcalf does warrant. I don't think Austin Metcalf warranted a death sentence. I gotta go, Mike. I actually do gotta go.
Pissed at my son bully. I would be pissed at my son bully. I would be pissed at my son took that approach. And if that happened, I would be devastated that he was gone. But if he would not have done what the fuck he did, it never would have happened.
All
so
right.
I think the best thing in this scenario, they should have let him off, because the only way white America and these racists like him are gonna learn is to stay in your fucking place, in your lane.
Whoa.
Leave people alone.
All right, I got to move. I'll end it at that. Real quick in the comment section, you guys aren't listening to Mike. Try removing your emotions out of the situation and look at the laws/facts. Now, listen, even if Mike is 100% correct about the laws, and I don't know the laws in Texas, so I'm not gonna counter him there. But the point I am going to say is not up to us to listen to the laws. It's up to his lawyer, talking about Carmelo Anthony's attorney, to present a decent case that uses the laws. Apparently, he didn't meet the standard for that. That's why Carmelo Anthony is in jail. Perhaps his lawyer should have orated the laws like Mike was just doing, and maybe if what Mike said is correct, he wouldn't be in prison. But apparently, he didn't do that well enough. And there are suggestions. I don't know if this is true or not, but there are suggestions that a ton of money was donated to Carmelo Anthony, and the family didn't even use that to get him a decent level of counsel. I don't know if that's true or not, but if that is, that's horrible. That's an injustice of his family to him, if that is true. Hopefully it's not. Evil B Babu says, can I have to say that Mike is correct, right? Because I read the transcript and I read it, and he is completely 100% right. Choke mouth, he's talking about you straight talk, says you don't know. I'm going to say I don't know either, because based on what I'm seeing, I'll just say that if the law in Texas, because I asked Mike several times, how much violence did Carmelo Anthony sustain? He admitted the only thing that happened to Carmelo Anthony is he got grabbed. If the law in Texas allows you to kill somebody for simply being grabbed, then the law is fucked up. That's it.
Jurors watched the video. Those jurors all watched the video of what happened. It was all caught on tape. Mike is a moron. Look, I get he's got a social pressure to say the things that he says.
No, I don't think he's doing it for social pressure. He actually believes it. I
get it. He sells a great story. I worked for 6 years on death row in Texas, in general population and death row in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And so I have no experience whatsoever with Texas and its judicial system. Okay? You don't have to take my word for this. But I'm telling you right now, that kid and his family did themselves a massive disservice by not apologizing, by not going and saying, listen, I was scared. I didn't know what I was doing. I apologize to the family. Oh my God, I've taken a life. No, they set their jaw like Michael DeBoss. Set your jaw and do the time. Shut the fuck up and do that 35 years. Go ahead.
Now I'm going to tell you that's where I'm going to tell you I differ, is that I believe if this was right, hold on, let me tell you why. You can correct me. If Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony are black, or if Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony both are white, I don't think the outcome is a murder sentence of 35 years. I do believe the racial element, and I don't believe Carmelo Anthony should have walked, as you heard me.
The difference between the two is in your attitude, in your contrition after the fact.
Then he has a good case for it. If what you're saying is true, then Mike is right. He has a good case for appeal, because that shouldn't have been factored in. You're saying that what the parents did is why the kids. No, because you're saying what the.
Sorry you are that you committed a crime.
No,
should not be
that ain't what I'm saying. You said the parents. You said the parents tried to get him arrested, so that has something to do with the sentence. Carmelo Anthony has nothing to do with what his parents tried to do.
No. Carmelo Anthony never once apologized.
That ain't what you said. The parents tried to get him arrested.
That's a secondary thing.
What does that got to do with with Carmelo Anthony?
Tim, I am going to explain this to you. It's all part of the thing. If your defense is that you were trying to defend yourself, self-defense, someone grabbed me, I feared for my life, I'm horrified by the outcome of what happened. What did you make me do? I'm a kid. I'm so sorry. I've taken someone's life. What do I do? I know Texas. I lived in Texas 27 years. People listen to that.
I don't, but you're trying to tell me that if you go out and commit a heinous crime, the actions of your wife or your parents can cause you to get a greater sentence? That's ridiculous. That's the grounds for appeal.
No, it's not. And by the way, no, it's not, dude.
Okay, we'll see. We'll see about that.
Find out who's right. Let's meet up here again in 3 years, and Carmelo Anthony will be right the fuck where Carmelo Anthony is, okay? Because he's taken Mike DeBoss's opinion that you don't apologize for anything, even when you're wrong, even when you've done.
He didn't take the opinion of Mike DeBoss. He took the opinion of President Trump. I got to move it on, but the president has told us you don't apologize.
How did he take the opinion of President Trump?
Because Trump has made it clear you don't apologize for shit, even when you're wrong. I gotta go.
Yeah, you do. You gotta go.
All right. We don't agree on that. Straight talk, always a pleasure. Thanks for coming through. Tap the screen and get the lights on up. I've tried to get off of Carmelo, but a lot of folks have a passionate opinion about it. A lot of folks, particularly with yours truly being African-American, I'm probably losing my black card on this particular conversation. But I'm not going to defend somebody being bullied, killing the person that's bullying them, and they're walking away without a scratch. I'm just not going to defend. Like I said, we've seen so many movies with people being bullied, from the Karate Kid on up. And I never thought that Johnny and the Karate Kid should have been murdered for what he was doing to Danielson. I don't think he should have been killed for that. I mean, I don't think Bluto should have been killed for what he did to Popeye. Jerry gets killed for what he's doing to Tom. I don't think Marty McFly should have killed Biff in Back to the Future. Every institution in this country, every elementary school, every high school, private and public, has bullies in it. If we allow folks to take a life at that level of violence, people gonna be getting killed every damn where. And I mean, it'll be crazy. And I see in the comments, Marky Mark says unfollowing. I can't win them all, Marky Mark. This is a free speech program. I can't promise you I'm not going to say shit you disagree with in the future. All I can promise is you get to speak and counter me in any way you want. But we can't just allow the kids to go around killing the bullies. Otherwise, look, there's got to be a better way than to go all the way up to a lethal response. That's just my take on it. Going back to the box, we'll go to Texas. Good evening, Texas. You lost that a long time ago. All right, well, I'll have to see if I can get another one. There's got to be a black card on Amazon I can get for cheap. Does T-Boo have black cards? Texas, good evening.
What's up, Tim?
Now, I don't know, man. I done lost my damn black card. I don't know where I'm at now. Fuck.
What? Are you still talking about the...
We can move on. We can move. We don't have to keep talking about that. What I do want to talk about is Trump has stated that the Iran war is over, or we're close to a ceasefire 39 times in a row. Why do you think that keeps happening?
Well, my opinion on that isn't covered in any kind of media, so might be all new news to everybody, but this is more on the lines of I don't know if you've heard of the Clarity Act. Maybe you have.
No.
Maybe you haven't.
Explain.
To get it passed in the Senate. So I think that's really what all this stems around. You have the BRICS nations that are trying to use CBDCs, and of course you have the U.S. and our allies were trying to use.
What does that have to do with them saying this 39 times? I don't get it.
Because I think they're trying to switch the,
They or he. The BRICS nations are not the one going on television and saying that. It's him. Why is he?
Yeah, he's not getting the deals that he wants, and we're seeing it as, other things.
So then if you're not getting the deal you want, why do you keep saying you're close to a ceasefire?
I don't know. To buy more time, honestly don't know. I'm not buying any of it. It's not going to happen.
So do you believe he is deliberately, intentionally lying to the American people?
Well, yeah, I mean, every government official lies to the
Yeah, but we're talking about him, though. I mean, I get it. We can go all the way back to Benjamin Franklin, if you will, but we're talking about him. So Trump, you believe, is just lying to the American people?
Yeah, for sure.
What is the purpose? Now get into the purpose. Why would he go on TV and keep lying over and over again?
Well, if you look at these things like the Clarity Act, if you're not aware, we're going to be moving to digital currency, right?
Okay.
So
I've heard about it.
we have to get these things structured and in place, and we're behind. That's one of the things Trump ran on, right? Is we're going to be the crypto capital of the world.
Well, that's interesting you would say that, because Trump was incredibly critical of crypto until he started creating his own companies. There's a lot of videos of Trump, just like he was trying to get you to buy Teslas when Elon started donating money to him. Yet there's a lot of videos of him criticizing e-vehicles as well. There's a lot of videos of Trump saying negative stuff about cryptocurrency.
Yeah, everyone was saying negative things government-wise about crypto until, what was it, 2021? So and why? Why were they saying that? That's a good question. There's a lot of, conspiracy theories, I guess you could say, about that. A lot of assumptions people are making as to why they sat here and pushed the narrative for so long that crypto is used for money laundering and trafficking, drug trafficking.
You think it's still? You think that's true?
I think they allowed it to be true. I think they allowed a lot of scams, hackers, things like that to get away with utilizing crypto for nefarious reasons to keep people away from it, so that they capitalize more when they decide they want to use it. Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, to me, it would be different if it seemed like Trump had an epiphany or he learned some new information. But it seems like this stuff only comes right after he's benefited financially. Then all of a sudden, his whole mindset changes. So you're right. Other people were critical of crypto, but they didn't make a windfall off of it before coming around. In Trump's case, it looked like somebody told him, you can open up your own crypto and make a killing off of it. And then that just suddenly made him start promoting it.
Oh, no. I see. That's believing him when he said it was bad, right? So you're choosing to believe Trump.
When do you believe him? So how do you know when to believe him or not?
Good question. When do we know how to believe and trust any politician?
Yeah, but hold on. Let me just say this real quick. I get what you're saying about any politician, but and this happens often when you talk about Trump. If he's doing good, we talk about him doing good. If he's doing bad, we zoom out and say everybody does. We're talking about this guy, and you are often responding with everybody does. We're talking about him, not everybody, which is why we can go back to Benjamin Franklin. If we're talking about him, and most of your answers involve everybody.
Well, yeah, because it wasn't just Trump. You can see other politicians that were around the same time bashing crypto, and now they're on board too. The only bills that have passed through the House and Senate with bipartisanship deal with crypto. And if you go back 10 years, 6 years, all these politicians were talking about how it's a horrible thing, don't use it. It's not just, don't get me wrong, Trump's probably benefited financially more than all of them. I think he made $20 billion off of one.
God, really? Is that much?
Yeah, he tripled his net worth off of one crypto. Yeah.
Let me ask you: Do you believe he is a corrupt president?
Yep, I think all of them are. You're not asking any. I know you want to focus on it, but
I get it, because he was the guy who was not going to be a typical politician. He had his own money, so you didn't have to worry about him. He wasn't supposed to be like everybody else.
Who said that?
He did. MAGA did. MAGA was adamant. Look, Trump, he's coming in the White House. He already got his own money, so we don't have to worry about him being bought and paid for like the rest of them. That's what MAGA was saying.
Yeah, because he was the guy that was buying politicians before he came into it.
Right. So now he's being bought.
Why would he do anything different?
So in other words, now he's being bought.
I think he's just making moves to make himself and his family richer. I mean, I don't know if anybody's got a string tied above him and making him do their moves. I think he.
Who told us that Iran had nuclear weapons? With Tulsi Gabbard, the head of intelligence, saying they did not? Because you're saying there's nobody got a string over this guy. Where did he get that information?
Oh, I don't know. You know, I'm pretty sure that's probably classified. I'm not going to.
If you got the head of the intelligence agency saying that Iran, she testified before Congress under oath that Iran is not developing a nuclear bomb, she would be the one responsible for telling them that. Who would know more than the head of the intelligence agencies?
Well, I mean, that's just like I thought Iraq had weapons of mass destruction. We had to go to war with them, right? And then
Yeah, that turned out to be a lie.
we never found them. So it's the same thing. So you got to look at, why are they telling us the same thing? Why is it, Iran is has these nuclear weapons?
Yeah, but he had to get that information from someone. Just like when he didn't believe our intelligence on Russia. I mean, he's getting his information from somebody else. Just like he tried to say that Iran bombed their own school full of girls, and he had Pete Hegseth right behind him, who would have been the one that was responsible for telling him that Iran did it or we did it. And even Hegseth said, I'm not sure that Iran did this. Where is he getting his information from?
It's just disinformation. I think it's just there so they can play their narrative. So you're not looking at what is really.
So he's just lying.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, just like he was lying before, saying crypto is never going to be anything more than, full of hackers and scams and used for money laundering and drug dealing.
Who did you vote for? Who did you vote for in the 2024 election between him and Kamala?
I had to vote for him, yeah.
Are you happy with that choice?
No. But I mean, I don't think I'd have been happy with either choice, So, I don't harp on it too much. I don't think the midterms are gonna go the way the Dems are hoping. In my opinion.
Yeah, but if you're not happy with Trump, and if you don't think the midterms are going to go the way the Dems are going or planning or hoping, then you're essentially saying we're going to get more of what you yourself as a Trump voter are not happy with.
How would we get more?
Because if the Republicans win in the midterms, they've made it clear they're going to let him do whatever he wants. So you're not happy with what he's doing. So they've made it clear that they're going to let him continue doing what he wants.
I'm not happy with the lack of what he's doing. Some of the things he's doing I know need to be done. But, I think this situation with Iran could have been handled differently.
Like how?
Deception.
In what way?
Could have been honest about it. Why are we doing this? We're doing it because we're behind. You ran saying we're going to be the crypto capital of the world, and we're leagues behind everybody, not just in Europe, but in the Middle East.
You think we attacked Iran in regards to cryptocurrency?
Yeah, for sure. Because you're getting a lot done with a lot of the BRICS nations by going through Iran.
So you're killing people for something that has for financial benefit.
I mean, isn't that what every war's been about?
And you think Kamala Harris would have done this?
No, I don't know. She didn't. I didn't see her talk a lot about crypto.
Why would you? Okay, you made it clear you're not happy with Trump, but you would have been even more unhappy with Kamala. What do you think she was going to? Would you?
I didn't say I would have been more.
You said you had to vote for Trump.
Well, yeah, you didn't ask why.
Why?
Because Trump wasn't even during that election when RFK Jr. was still trying to get a nomination. He was the one running on crypto, and he was the one pushing, crypto. And then Trump, I guess bought him out. And so I knew, okay, well, if crypto is going to get pushed in any kind of way and get us ahead of Europe and the other global powers, we've got to get someone in there that's going to do it.
So your main vote for Trump was because you want to go to digital currency.
Well, I knew that's where the world's going. And if we're going to have our same, foundation, and global power, we got to be able to get there. Yeah.
And you want to get there to the point, even if it means murdering thousands of innocent people, as long as we get there. I mean, that's the only, so what route should he have taken other than murdering thousands of innocent Iranians?
I think, like I said, it should have been honest with what's the goal they're trying to accomplish here, because I don't believe it's about Iran having nuclear powers. I think it's about, the BRICS nations going towards CBDCs. You have Iran, you have China, you have Russia. They all want CBDCs. And that's not the way that's going to be able to work with how our government is structured when it comes to currency.
I got to admit, you make Trump sound like a real genuine bad guy. Hell, even I don't know if I want to say, you make him sound like a genuine bad guy. You're killing thousands of people just for financial benefit. You are right. Other presidents have done it, but that don't make them look any better either. And that's not a defense for Trump doing it, but you are admitting that he's killing thousands of people just for money.
Yeah, well, and also, I guess he would probably say doing it to secure the financial freedom of the United States going forward. But again, that doesn't give him, in my opinion, that's not a good excuse. You can't just fall and say, well, this should have been handled by my predecessor or whatever.
Right. So then it makes me want to ask, we claim that Iran is the world's largest state sponsor of terror. If we're killing people just to make money, do you believe we're any better than what we claim in Iran is?
Are you talking about on a global scale?
Well, we're obviously are killing more people globally than Iran is. They're only in their region. We're threatening Greenland. We're down in Venezuela. Now Cuba's next. We're all over the globe doing it.
Yeah. Look, I haven't agreed with the way America has,
So are we worse? Are we worse at perpetrating terror than a country we call the largest state sponsor of terror?
Are we worse? No, I wouldn't say we're worse.
Cuba's in the dark right now. Any idea why that is?
Cuba's in the dark?
Yeah, America is preventing energy from going to Cuba. Their citizens are living in the dark like 21 hours a day because we're not letting any oil go to their country. Any idea why we're doing that?
Probably because Trump wants to make Cuba a territory. I don't know. I don't know what the end game is there.
But yet we're not worse than Iran. You don't think we're worse than Iran?
No, I'm saying because Iran doesn't have the capabilities of doing that. I think if they had the reach to do that, they would be doing the same thing.
But then it would make us equal. You said Iran's worse.
Yeah, just because of how they treat their citizens, their own citizens and things like that.
So it's okay to do it to other people just as long as it ain't your own.
Did I say that? No, I'm saying it. All I'm saying is, if Iran had the capabilities and the money like we do in the military force to do it globally, they would be doing it. You can't deny they wouldn't be. So you can't sit here and say, well, we have to be worse because our government has the ability of doing it.
You know something? I'm not certain Iran would be doing that, and I'll tell you why. Most of the stuff we say about Iran is speculation. When you talk to a lot of other Western nations, they're not worried about Iran being a nuclear power and blowing them up. It's mostly America and Israel because we're the ones that are in their region, in their business. You don't hear France or Germany saying, man, Iran's going to blow us up. They're not saying that. It's America and Israel.
Yeah, for sure, because they know they're just a regional threat, not a global threat. They don't have the capabilities of doing it. I'm saying that myself.
But you don't hear Germany or these other countries saying if they had the capabilities, they would be blowing up Berlin. You don't hear them talking like that.
Right, because why would they be talking like that?
Because they don't have any concern of Iran trying to hurt them because they're not trying to control Iran. The countries that believe Iran, if they became a power, would be dangerous to them are the countries that are oppressing Iran's way of life.
So you agree with Iran's way of life?
I don't even agree with our way of life, Texas. I don't agree with everything we do here. So I don't agree with their way of life, but I don't believe it's our job to go around the world telling other countries what they can and cannot do when we don't even have our own wheelhouse in order. Yeah. All right. We'll leave it at that. I got to move it on. Go ahead. I'll give you the last word.
I
What the fuck? What do you mean I don't like reading?
Oh, come on, Tim. You don't research. You're opinion-based, and that's okay. I like your show. Always have. Been watching you for a long time. Been up here multiple times. It's been a long time. I've been busy, man. But look at what's been passed. Look at our government right now, and the only things bipartisanly that have been passed are dealing with digital currency. Why? Why are those two sides that can't agree on anything else agreeing on this, right? And so that paints a bigger picture for you. Start digging and looking, and you'll see this isn't about nuclear weapons, just like it wasn't about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. This is about global security for world powers that be, and they're fighting over it right now. And we have to.
Well, anytime all of Congress or all of the Senate or all politicians involved stand and make a lot of money, it's pretty easy to get shit to be done bipartisan. What you're basically saying is the country's going to make money if we are at the forefront of digital currency. And if we're at the forefront making money as a country, then Congress and the Senate are going to be making more money than all of us. So they're doing it to enrich themselves.
Yeah. Well, and hopefully to secure our future as a global power, right? I mean, now should that come at the cost of innocent lives? No, it shouldn't. And anybody that thinks differently is, just as corrupt as the powers that be, But we, unfortunately, those things have always happened through time, and I don't think we're going to ever see them not happen.
All right, I'll leave it at that. Texas, as always, good to hear from you again. Thanks for coming up.
All right, Tim. Have a good one.
You too. And I do like to read, goddammit. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 50,000. Help your boy out with the TikTok cap, hat, and mustache goals. And Obamacare or the ACA is taking the rest of your money. It averages more than the average mortgage. Look, you guys are standing idly by while Trump is refurbishing jets and building pools and tribunals and shit. I don't want to hear about the Affordable Care Act. I don't even want to fucking hear about that. You're going to tell me, even if he did something in a roundabout way that was erroneous, trying to help people that are sick and people that need health care, we're going to criticize that. But this dude is building all of the stuff Trump is doing, all these lavish things he's doing that are none of this stuff is necessities. You don't need a pool right now, talking about the reflective pool. And I got MAGA like, well, did you see what Washington looked like before? Out of all of this shit going on, did you see what the prices look like at the grocery store, at the gas station? That should attract your attention more than a failing reflective pool that 99.9% of Americans will not even deal with. 99.9% of Americans are not going to D.C. They're not going to see the Tribunal Arch. They're not going to see this memorial with his name on. This guy is just basically pimping out his town at your expense. That's all he's doing. He's pimping out the surroundings where he is. And you got MAGA all over the damn country that are not likely to go to D.C. anytime soon, saying that we need all this shit. What D.C. needs to look good. You're not fucking going there. You're not even going there. Should you not be focused more on what your grocery and gas prices are as opposed to how lavish D.C. looks? That's crazy. That he's putting up gold and all this shit, and we're defending that. I don't understand it. I do not. Putting his face on a $250 bill and all this shit. And now he's got a UFC fight on his birthday this year. He had a military parade on his birthday last year. All of this stuff costing double-digit, if not triple-digit millions. And MAGA's defending that stuff in the middle of this economy. This is where you're getting the cult conversation from. Like, your life is fucked up, and you're defending this dude getting these ridiculously costly gifts at your expense on his birthday. The same folks who say, I refuse to have my money go to somebody who can go out and work and take care of themselves. But you're okay with this dude who is a billionaire several times over using your tax money to live even more comfortably than he is already. It's insane. That's where the cult conversation comes from. Tap the screen in the comments. Chris Toyboiler says, wrong, UFC is paying for it. Guarantee you, everything that's going on with that UFC fight is not all from the UFC. The cleanup, you know, you got to repair all of the once that's gone, all of the cement and grass is got all of that's not going to be paid for by the UFC. Yeah, Trump will tell you that. Isn't that exactly what he told you was going to happen with the ballroom? It was all going to be donors, right? Now they're telling you we need $1 billion or something ridiculous from the taxpayers. That's what he tells you is going to be the UFC. That ain't what's going to actually happen. Looking in the comments, remember that squeaky little tank. What are you talking about? But it's at no expense to money laundering to the Ukrainians. Huh? Let me go back to the box, tap the screen, get the lights on up. We'll continue on with MAGA Reacts. Good evening, MAGA. Welcome to the show. Tap the screen, help your boy out with the hat and mustache, TikTok, cap those. Let your thumbs not be lazy. Get us up to 50,000. MAGA, good evening.
Tim, never, ever take legal advice from Michael. Wow. He could read the law he wants. Doesn't mean he understands what the law says. I mean, he loves reading, but he doesn't seem to be understanding what he's reading.
My audience seem to agree with him.
Bro, he could say the fucking sky is red, and he'll fucking agree with him. Listen, when it comes to
what are you saying? My audience is like MAGA?
Your audience is left as fuck, and they're just like Michael.
Just like Trump is saying there's fraud in California. He didn't have to prove anything. What you're saying is Mike has that same control over my audience?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying he doesn't understand the law at all. Like, when it comes to self-defense, the main thing you have to prove is, did you believe you were in, that person was going to cause you death or great bodily harm? Okay, that's the number one thing. Did you think when this guy shoved you that he was going to kill you or hurt you really bad?
Wow.
And I don't think the other guy did enough to warrant him thinking, oh my God, he's going to kill me. Because that's it. Whether you stand your ground or have a duty to retreat, because some states you have a duty to retreat, some states like Texas, you can stand your ground, you still have the number one question you have to ask, the thing you have to prove in court is, did you believe that person was going to cause you death or great bodily harm? Was he going to run you over with a car? Did he have a gun that he could use to shoot you like Alex and Renee? You know, did you believe that you was in risk of dying, you know?
Well, I want to, let me interrupt and say this. There is a possibility that the argument could be made that he did believe he was going to be dealing with great bodily harm, but his beliefs could be unreasonable. It would be like, you know, as big as I am, some chick slapping me and me strangling her to death or something and trying to convince a jury that I thought she was going to be, you know, greatly, you know, with her bare hands, she was going to cause great bodily harm. She's small, she could kick me in the balls or something. The jury's not going to buy that. But that doesn't mean I don't believe it. And what I'm saying is the jury did not buy what Carmelo Anthony was telling, but that don't mean he didn't believe it.
That's what you have to prove in court. And I don't think Carmelo Anthony had a chance to prove that in court whatsoever, because it doesn't seem, nothing that he read or Michael repeated or whatever gives me any kind of sign that he was in danger of great bodily harm. I mean, if Metcalf, the guy the victim, if he had a history of hurting people and beating people up, if he had a history of actually bullying, what's his name, Carmelo, if you know, there's nothing. There's very. I don't know where you don't see that, do you?
I don't see, from what I've seen so far. Now, Mike's argument is it doesn't matter how little violence that Carmelo Anthony sustained. It doesn't matter whether or not he thought he was going to be great. He's saying the law somehow allows him to do it. That's where I disagree, because I don't believe, from what I've seen, Carmelo Anthony shanked a guy, dropped the knife, and ran off. And the argument is that there was, you know, it was Austin Metcalf, and he had several other people with him, and they were all potentially going to jump Austin. They were all going to jump Carmelo Anthony, so he committed an act of self-defense. Well, then if that's the case, why would you shank one, drop the knife, and run off? If there's other potential threats, you would keep holding that knife. You wouldn't drop it and run. Otherwise, you could have done that in the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Tim, maybe he was scared, dude. Like he just did something that he never had to do before. You know, when I hear y'all talk about that, it brings me back to Kyle Rittenhouse. And Mike React, do you think Kyle Rittenhouse should have went to jail and should have been in prison right now?
No, but he had people chasing him.
Hold on, though. Like
chasing him with like
okay,
weapons.
Okay, so they had people. He had people coming against him in a negative way, right?
No, they literally had guns and they were trying to they were chasing him. They were trying to attack him. They weren't trying to tell him, oh, leave our area. They were literally chasing him and fucking coming after him, and it's the mob. And they had weapons.
Hey, hold on 1 second before you. Hold on, hang on before you respond. Hold on before you respond. Louis 4187. I will address your super chat about the big beautiful bill in a minute. Go ahead, gentlemen.
And he was retreating. Rittenhouse was retreating until he couldn't retreat anymore, and that's when he used deadly force. Whenever he got trapped was the only time he used deadly force.
Okay, so was that young man in those bleachers? Was he attacking him, or he just sitting there talking to somebody and doing his own thing?
He was escorting him. He was pushing him out, but was he gonna cause him? The question is, when it comes to self-defense, was he gonna cause him grave bodily harm or death?
So, how does he know that?
It's not any bodily harm. It's grave bodily harm.
How did that young man know that when he didn't go there to mess with nobody? He just sitting down talking to somebody. Like for an example, Kyle Rittenhouse went out there with an assault rifle. Or whatever case it be like that. So he out there walking around with an assault rifle, and he done had videos talking about something. He wanted to go out there and do this and do that, or whatever case it be like that. So that goes to show that he already had the intent in his mind. And going back to what Michael was saying, he already had the intent in his mind to go out there and do something to somebody.
I gotta disagree. I think.
They didn't provoke the situation.
Yeah, I think both Carmelo Anthony and Kyle Rittenhouse done something that was dumb, put themselves in a bad situation. Even though people were claiming that Carmelo Anthony was. Oh no, hold on. Even though people were claiming that Carmelo Anthony was invited. Hold on a second. Even though folks are saying Carmelo Anthony was invited, he knew he was being invited, if that's the case, to an unfriendly atmosphere. And I will say, in regards to the same thing with what is his name, Kyle Rittenhouse. Even if he wants to claim somebody was saying, come defend property, you know the environment you're going is in an unfriendly environment. However, in Kyle Rittenhouse's case, in Kyle Rittenhouse's case, people were actively chasing him, trying to kick him, using skateboard. I mean, I think Kyle Rittenhouse's case for self-defense is significantly greater.
But sir, the thing that I'm saying about that, like how you just said a little while ago, he knew what was going on out there. He knew that him and his mom took him out there.
Yeah.
He knew that it was a problem out there, and it still went out there and put himself in that dangerous situation.
I agree with that part.
This young man was invited out there. Like, yeah, people might not have liked him, or whatever the case should be like that. But sir, we all walk these streets and live in this world and go places where people don't like us, or whatever the case should be like that. But at the same time, he didn't go out there with no intent to do something to somebody. As they were saying, he was telling the people to leave him alone. The people came up to him to cause him a problem, or whatever the case should be like that. And yeah, I'm not saying whatever was right or wrong.
And if they would have killed him, they wouldn't have a self-defense fucking argument because they provoked the situation. That's
so look, man, let's go with that.
They would be fucked. But
so, Michael, let's go with what you said. And you say Kyle Rittenhouse should have went to jail. Kyle Rittenhouse knew there was a problem. He knew people was out there was upset. They was feeling the way that they was feeling, and he went out there anyway, right? So why would you go ahead?
It doesn't matter in both cases. I think you're being distracted by this.
No.
You matter in both of these cases.
You said what you said, sir. You said that he shouldn't have went to jail. That's what you said. So my thing is, I'm on this right here.
Because he's defending himself from grave bodily harm. Those people want to kick his ass.
If you know that there's a problem, right? If you know there's a problem, or if you are a parent yourself, right? So let me ask you a question. You a parent, y'all? You a parent or you not a parent?
I'm not a parent.
Okay, so if you was a parent and you knew that there was a dangerous situation going on, you gonna take your teenage child and drop your teenage child off with an assault rifle in that dangerous situation?
I mean, if it has to be there. I don't get what it matters to this situation. Even if it's safe. Even if I see someone's house, right? And they come attack me, I could fucking defend myself.
You can defend yourself, but at the same time,
in court that I was in fear of great bodily harm. You have to prove that you were in fear of great bodily harm.
What gives you the right to be mess with somebody?
Hold on, let me ask you, real talk, let me ask you. You believe that Carmelo Anthony was in just as much danger as Kyle Rittenhouse?
Sir, I can't say that he was just in that much danger because the simple fact is, what it's about is how much danger that he felt like he was in.
You can't act, but that doesn't, just because you feel like you're in danger doesn't mean the jury's going to agree with you. You can't just, we're not going to just let you almost sound like a cop who yells, well, my life was in danger, so I just killed somebody.
I'm not saying that the jury is going to believe that or what he's saying. What I'm talking about is in that moment, how that young man felt. Okay, because it's been said that these other young men that came to, accost him or whatever case would be like that, known for being aggressive, known for bullying and things of that nature. We don't know what it is that
I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing that point. Let me just ask: is it possible for you to feel like you're in danger and be wrong, or does it anytime you feel? Because I'll give you an example. Ahmad Diallo was the African American. I think it was named. What was his name? The African American that had the gun in his glove compartment. That wasn't Ahmad Diallo. What was the guy's name who had the gun in his glove compartment? And the cop thought he was reaching for it and killed him with him and his girlfriend and child in the car.
No, I think he had the gun on him.
No, it was in the. No, it was in the. I don't know if he had. He wasn't trying to harm the cop. Is the point I'm making. Yeah. And yet the cop thought it. And yet the cop thought his life. Philando Castro. That's the name. The cop thought his life was in danger. The cop was wrong. You can think your life is in danger and be wrong.
Within reason, the guy was reaching for a gun. What's his
He
name?
wasn't.
The kid with the Metcalf wasn't reaching for a gun. He wasn't reaching for anything. He didn't have a gun on him.
No, I think the one Mr. Tim talking about. I think the one Mr. Tim, the one that I saw, it was a dude and his lady in the car. The dude was the driver, and he told the officer that he had a gun.
Right.
Or whatever the case would be like that. And the officer asked for her ID. He went to reach for his ID.
And he shot him.
Shot him while he was in the driver's seat.
And that's my point, is that you can perceive, like that officer did, like Carmelo Anthony did, you can perceive that your life is in danger and actually be wrong about it. That cop's life was not in danger.
It's just like they're saying, perception is reality.
But you don't get off on that. Your perception don't allow you to do something and just automatically be guaranteed you're going to get. Well, I thought I was going to die, so I killed him.
I'm not saying just because you perceive something that makes you right. I'm not saying that. Because I believe in right is right and wrong is wrong. Or whatever the case would be like that. But I also believe in what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Or if the case would be like that. If you're going to treat one this way, then you need to treat everybody the same way.
Now that I agree with.
If the victim had a gun, I would agree with you. If the victim that was shoving him had a gun, I would agree with you. If he was punching him, I would agree.
3 minutes.
If he was doing anything like violent, like within, like, we gotta say great bodily harm, not any bodily harm, great bodily harm.
Okay, let me just say this last little piece real quick, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drop down. Yeah, Mr. Timothy, go ahead and drop me down, because there was two things I want to talk about. That instance I want to talk about. I heard you.
I got a question.
Wait, go ahead.
I got a question. If I was coming at you, if I'm a big guy, double your size, and I was coming at you, and you had a knife to defend yourself, would you slash to keep me at distance, or would you stab? Because that's the other thing. I'm like, if you had a knife, I would slash to keep him away.
I'm gonna tell you like this here. I'm born and raised from Miami, Florida. See, I heard you from Miami. You live in Miami. I heard you Miami, but I grew up in the hood to Miami. Or if it should be like that. So for me personally, if I had like, and we don't in Miami we don't utilize knives or slash. So in case it be like that. But if I did have one,
Mike, I'll answer your question shortly.
That's correct. I mean, that's correct.
If I did have one and you was coming at me and I felt like boy, you might do some dirt, you might do me dirty, I'm gonna stick you with everything I got. And I just something like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying I'm gonna stick you with everything I got. See, I'm like when I said I'm born and raised in Miami, Florida, I talk about the night, but we ain't about we using that down here. So I had to supplement it and ask your question the way you asked. I'm gonna stick you with everything I got And when I put it in, you come and turn it.
Ooh. All right, we'll leave it at that. I gotta move it on. You sounded like you.
This is the last thing right here I want to tell you, because you asked Mike a hypothetical question about if it was his child. My child right now, my second oldest, right now he's grown, but he's like 6'2" or something like that. He was going to school on the bus when he was in middle school, the biggest kid on the bus. He was on the bus bullying kids on the bus. I was on the road working. Now he had back in that time, they like to twist their hair up and got that long hair, one face, something like that. I heard he was bullying them kids on the bus. I called down there, told his brother I'm gonna pay him $30 because I want him to watch his brother bald his head, and I'm talking about looking like yours, sir. Or case it be like that. Cut everything go. I told his mama when he get on that bus in the morning, he better not have no hat on, and he better not have no jacket with no hoodie on. I set my alarm for when he got out of school the next day and called him. I said, son, how was school? He said it was good. I said, how was the bus ride? He said it was bad. I said, well, why it was bad? He said all the kids on the bus was picking on me. And I told him, now you know how they feel. Don't be bullying nobody.
I agree with that, but before I let you go, real quick, would you have been okay if some of the kids he bullied stabbed him?
Hey, you mess with people and you get what you get. Leave people alone. Or I would have still felt bad because my son gone. But in my mind of being reasonable and being real, I would have said, you know what, he should have left them goddamn people alone.
All right.
He's on that bus messing with them people.
And that's real talk. Thank you. Appreciate it. I got to move it on, gentlemen, and looking in the comments. Real quick, I do want to say something. Mike, you asked me several times in the comments, what happened to the officer that shot and killed Philando Castile, the one that was had a gun in his car, was not any threat to the officer. Well, the officer did get off. However, he was charged with second-degree manslaughter and dangerous discharge of a firearm. So the state went after him. He found a sympathetic jury or a really good lawyer or a combination of both, or, listen, but at the end of the day, they didn't just let him get away with it. They did charge him and attempt to send him to prison. The jury let him off. I'm just pointing that out. Just like they did charge O.J. Simpson with double murder. The jury let him off. That does happen. But they didn't just look at the guy and say, we believe you. When you shot Philando Castile, we believe you were in danger for your life. We're gonna just let you go. They did pursue him. So that's all I'm saying. And real quick in the comments, Louis, I'll answer your question in a minute. Evil B Babu says this is why we should never take advice from MAGA moron. He's talking about MAGA Reacts. Also, MAGA Reacts wants to say George Floyd fell asleep. Makes no damn sense. You were off your nutcase. Yeah, when he said that the other day, that was insane. That was insane that George Floyd may have fell asleep. But MAGA Reacts can get wild at times. Evil says also MAGA Reacts should not be speaking because you don't have kids. You don't know what it's like to experience having a family. A bad comedian get him off the stage. Wow. Shout out to the late Kiki Shepard of Apollo. She just passed away the other day or so. Some of you folks, Gen X, probably remember Kiki Shepard, the tall African-American woman on the Apollo, would come out, bring out the guests, and he'd rub the tree or whatever. She just died of a heart attack in the early 70s this week. Kiki Shepard. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 70,000, if you will. Let them sell that brand new Jeep. What are you talking? Oh, you talking about they purchased a Jeep the family did, Michael Brown? I'm not aware of that, but I don't know. Like I said, I believe personally, and I'll go back to the box and tap the screen, get us on up to 70,000. I personally believe that if Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony were both black or both white, first of all, it wouldn't have been a national case, would not have gotten national attention. I don't believe the person would have walked in either case. If Austin Metcalf, a black person, was killed by a smaller Carmelo Anthony, another black person, and the jury was all black, I don't think they're letting Carmelo Anthony walk. And the same thing if they're both white. I don't think they're letting Carmelo Anthony walk in either case. The only difference where I do see some racial issues in it is the 35 years and the murder conviction. I think if you take the racial element out of it, It's a manslaughter conviction, and you're probably going to get 5 to 15 years. That's what I believe. If it was a diverse jury, I believe even in the case of Austin being white and Carmelo being black, if it's a diverse jury, the deliberations are going to probably push it down to manslaughter. And he's still, every guest I had on the show when we did this the other day, just about all of my guests were left-leaning African Americans, and I think only 1 or 2 of them said Carmelo Anthony should walk. Most of my African American guests think the 35 years is excessive. So do I. Think the murder conviction is wrong. So do I. Think it's manslaughter. But they all mostly said he should get some time in prison. Most of the African Americans I talked to, liberals, these are not people on the other side. These are not Black MAGA. They all believe he should get some time behind bars. And that's the way I look at it. I do believe the only reason he got 35 years is he's an African-American killing a white person. I think if you had a small white Carmelo Anthony killing a big black football player named Austin Metcalf, there's no way in hell that little white kid is getting a murder charge with 35 years. Some would argue he may walk altogether. I'm not for certain he'd walk with scot-free, but I'm not for certain he wouldn't walk away scot-free. But I feel confident he would not get a murder 35-year conviction. I'll leave it at that. Looking in the comments, how was Carmelo threatened? Didn't read much of it, but it seems like bullshit. Most of the threat was via speculation. It's more of them than me. They're bigger than me. One has already touched me. So therefore, I can assume a bunch of more bad stuff is about to happen. I'm going to stab him now. But the overwhelming majority of the Carmelo side was based on speculation. The only actual physical violence he sustained was being grabbed, what Mike said. Louis says, ever since the big beautiful bill passed, my disability insurance will not cover physical therapy, dental, and some of my prescriptions it used to cover. And I believe that. I believe that what the Trump administration is doing is finding ways to help out the poor and pocketing the difference. Trump just said on television the other day that Venezuela turned out great. I wish I had the clip to play right now. I have to find it maybe while this show is going. He said, we took a bunch of their oil and distributed it in places like Louisiana and made a fortune. He basically admitted we robbed Venezuela of oil, put it in American states, and made a fortune. Now, you and I as John Q. Public, we ain't made shit. The price of gas went up after the Venezuela thing because Iran kicked in. So we have not made a fortune. So obviously they took, and I believe they took a tanker, at least one of them they seized, and Venezuela never got that back. There was a tanker on the way to Cuba. Trump administration seized that, and it was sold, I think, in the Middle East or somewhere. They took oil from Venezuela, sold it on the worldwide market, and a few of them pocketed the difference. It didn't go to the American people. And Trump came flat out and admitted we took Venezuelan oil and made a fortune. Who are you talking about that made a fortune? The American people have not made that. He robbed them. And he kind of admitted. And he hasn't mentioned anything about stopping fentanyl from Venezuela since he did that. So, yeah, and that's the reason I think the big, beautiful bill, all of that stuff, it's a heist. It's a heist. I think Doge, all of those fires, you're bragging about saving money every damn where, and the people of the country are not reaping any benefits from it all. So where's all the money going? You're bragging constantly about making a fortune, everything, but none of the people are benefiting from it. Where's the money going? It's a heist, in my opinion. And I see in the comments, Michael Brown says that's bullshit. Tell me how you're benefiting from some of this stuff, Michael. Right now. Not in the future. I don't want to hear any bullshit about the future because Trump is claiming we're making a fortune now. Tell me how you're benefiting, Michael Brown, from all of this. How much did we save with Doge? How much did Elon say we saved with Doge? Tell me how you benefited from all of this shit. JC says Trump wouldn't allow little MAGA reacts into the country and would want his kids that are born here sent back to Egypt. That is probably true. Certainly if they were out in the sun too long. Jason says slashing is a good point by the guy from Shithole Country. Jay, in the comments, the price of a dumb fuck, the price of oil just dropped below $82 a gallon. Joe Biden's 4 years, the average gas is $4.48 in Dallas, Texas. It's $3.19 right now. First of all, you telling me throughout Biden's 4 years, the average price of gas is $4.48 a gallon? I don't believe that's accurate. I do not believe that's accurate. Out of all 4 years Biden was in office, if the average is $4.48, then that means there's times it was higher than that. That's not accurate. That is not accurate. Alexa, what was the average price of gas during Biden's presidency?
During Biden's presidency, gas prices averaged around $3.60 per gallon, peaking at $5.02 in June 2022.
Alexa's not perfect, but she definitely disagrees with you. Let me go back to the box. Alexa, stop. Tap the screen, get the lights on up to 70,000, if you will. We'll continue on with Bow Down when I'm Westward Down. Bow down to Bow down to a player that's greater than you. Bow down, did not bring him up. Biden had the highest gas at $4. Alexa, stop. You says Biden had the highest gas prices at $4.99 a gallon. Yeah, but there's a difference between a peak and trying to claim it's the average. Because right now the gas prices in America are higher than they were during other parts of Trump's administration. So you wouldn't take the price of gas right now and say that's the average of what's going on under Trump. The $4.99 a gallon under Biden is probably closer to the top. It's not an average. That's not accurate. Tap the screen. We'll take the next call at 70,000. We'll continue on with Mike the Boss. Good evening. Welcome, Mike. Now, Mike, you got the floor this time. Talk to me.
Okay. First of all, I'm going to push back on your ass.
Anytime. What you got?
Okay, cool. First of all, if you believe that the sentencing was racist in the amount of time that he got and the charge that he got convicted of, how come you can't believe that the verdict was racist as well? Same people.
Because I don't see anything. Because I know if I was on the jury, I'm not letting him walk from a shove or a grab or whatever you called it. I would not agree that you should be allowed, if somebody grabbed you, to kill them.
Again, but you don't believe that it was murder?
No, manslaughter. I would have been one. What did I just say? I said if you had a diverse jury, the deliberations would have been longer. They would have forced it down to manslaughter, and you would have got less time than 35 years. But he would have done some time.
Okay, cool. But you're accepting the racism.
I'm admitting it. I'm not accepting it. Ain't shit you can do about it.
No, but what I'm saying is, so they didn't prove murder.
Okay.
So if that's the charge they went with, you have to, if that's what you're saying, you have to say, I'm not convicting him of that. So if that's what you're trying to do,
no,
I'm not doing it. But they didn't do that, right?
If I'm on a jury, I would not have accepted murder. But if I'm on a jury, if I'm on a jury and I got some MAGA or some Austin Metcalf supporters telling me, no, this is murder, but then I got Mike the Boss on the other side said, no, he should walk, I'm not going to agree with either one of y'all.
I understand. So what should have happened then?
Either a hung jury or the folks get together and agree with a less charge.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Now I'm gonna give you two facts, and you tell me, do these matter? A prosecution witness testified under oath that Hunter Metcalf does not he does not tolerate disrespect. This is the brother. One of the prosecution witnesses, he does not tolerate disrespect. Another witness also testified that Austin can be intimidating if you don't know him. But then they turn around and testify that Carmelo was being disrespectful. Now, do you think, with that being said, Hunter did nothing?
No, I don't. If this guy doesn't tolerate being disrespected and all this stuff, and yet you have no problem sitting next to him, you obviously ain't afraid of him. And when you're telling them shit like, well, if you touch me again, you're gonna see what happens. I don't see Carmelo Anthony being scared.
They weren't sitting next to him, Tim.
And the fact that he uttered that statement shows he is not scared of that dude.
No, that's not true either.
Why would you tell somebody you're frightened of? If you touch me again, you gonna see what happens. That don't sound like you're scared. That sounds like fuck around and find out.
Tim, listen, where we come from, and this is why it was terrible that they didn't have a black juror. Where we come from saying, touch me and see what happens, does that mean that we're looking for problems or that we're saying, leave me the fuck alone?
What it says is you ready for problems and you ain't afraid, you ain't gonna back down. That don't sound like somebody scared saying that.
Tim, are you trying to tell me, and this is our culture, in our culture, you saying that everybody that says that isn't afraid, Tim? Is that what you're saying? Come on, Tim. You know better.
I don't think you make, and this is where you and I disagree. I don't think you make Carmelo Anthony's decisions if you're scared. You don't go sit down by them. You know,
They weren't there, Tim. They weren't there.
Then you get up when they come, you walk off on that. You don't just.
Wait a minute, Tim. You're acting like he knew them. He didn't know them. He was sitting there for 10 minutes. All the rest of the people under the tent had no problem with this being there, Tim. You don't have the chain of events lined up. They weren't there. He was sitting there talking to Eddie, chopping it up. Nobody had a problem. In the testimony, when Hunter said, "Who are you?" he said, "I'm a nobody." And then he said, "You don't belong here."
I'm a nobody.
And then he said, under oath, the only person that has a problem with me being here is you. That's what was testified to in court. Why in the fuck is the onus on him to leave?
I'm not saying the onus on him. I'm not saying the onus on him. Hold on. I'm not saying the onus on him is to leave. What I'm saying is if you genuinely feel like your life is in danger, you might not be required to do it by law, but you would assume that anybody who thought their life was in danger would get out of the area.
And that's a bogus-ass assumption. It's a bogus
Tell that
assumption.
to the man doing 35 years in prison.
The rule is fight or flight. But see, Tim, that goes back to your original statement about racism. He's doing the time because of racism. He's doing the time.
He's doing the amount of time because of racism. But as I stated, as I told you, if Carmelo Anthony and Austin Metcalf were both black and this happened in Philadelphia or Chicago somewhere, I don't see Carmelo Anthony walking. He may not get 35. It may not be murder, but I don't see him walking and going home.
Jim, if Austin and Hunter were black and Carmelo was white, he would have
No. Take the race out. What I'm saying, I understand the racial angle. What I'm saying is that
take it out.
No, you're not hearing what I'm saying. I'm saying if Austin Metcalf and Carmelo Anthony both were black and this happened in a black area, I believe they would have convicted him for something. He would not have gotten a walk as you're saying he should have got. He would have went to jail.
Listen, you can't take it out of the state and apply it out of state because the laws are different.
Okay. I don't think there's any state in the union. I mean, I get Texas and Florida has these stand your grounds. I don't think two black guys in Florida, two black guys in Texas could do what they did and walk. I think anywhere in the union this happens, that person that stabbed that other kid is going to jail. Not for 35 years, maybe not for murder, but they are not walking.
Okay, Tim, fine. Here's what I'm trying to tell you. Based on the charges, you don't have the luxury. And see, here's the problem with the case. Because what you said, before they put, and by the way, they didn't put manslaughter on the table until the prosecution rested their case, right before the, right?
That's the appeal shit. That's the appeal shit.
No. They didn't have manslaughter until the judge directed them that they could go for the lesser charge of manslaughter. Through the entire trial, it wasn't on the table. What I'm telling you is, if all you put on the table is M1 and manslaughter, and you're a juror and you're like, it's not murder, but the other 11 jurors are going, we think it's murder, and you think that it's
then
not,
it's a hung jury.
Yeah, it's a hung jury.
Well, that don't mean you walked, though. That means they can charge you again, or they can do it again.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm telling you, Tim, even if I say, okay, manslaughter's on the table, right? Fine. But that's not what was on the table. But I'm talking about you still have to convict beyond a reasonable doubt. And by the evidence that was presented by the prosecution alone was reasonable doubt. You just got to read the transcripts. And then when the defense gets up there and cross-examines Eddie, and Eddie says,
You got company.
Eddie didn't tell the prosecution when he testified the first time that they were friends.
MAGA, put in your request. I mean, I hear what you.
Tell them that he didn't wave Carmelo up there. All them white kids that testified, them kids that testified and said they asked him to leave 15 times. How come no one ever went and got an adult, Tim? How come they didn't talk
That part I do agree with. Austin Metcalf was not the police. He didn't have a right to do what he did. I just don't think he deserved to die for it.
But and again, if you're going to convict him for murder, it had to be intentional and knowingly. So now we're saying that this young kid, and by the way, if you read the evidence, the wound was from left to right. It wasn't from up to down.
Do you think he had good counsel?
They either stupid or brilliant.
Because of the well, you don't want to be so brilliant. You let me sit in jail for 3 to 5 years waiting for an appeal to win on. To me, I don't see the brilliant. I see the stupid.
Well, because here's the thing. If he doesn't believe, like I didn't believe, he was walking out of there. I believe the jury ignored evidence. I believe the judge gave them terrible jury instructions. And I believe the prosecution was in on it too. There was too much going on. If all you can do is plan for the appeal at that point, Tim. I don't believe, Tim, they convicted him of M1 and nobody I talked to said that was proven.
I don't like MAGA reaction camera. Do you agree with me and Mike? I don't think murder was appropriate. I think murder is an overcharge. Very similar to George Zimmerman and some of them folks. I think murder was an overcharge. Do you agree with that?
I'm not familiar with how murder works in Texas. I don't know if they have different levels of murder, because usually there's different levels of
manslaughter. Manslaughter is a version of you can have murder 2 and murder 3. Manslaughter is in some places. Manslaughter is what murder 2 or murder 3 is. So that's the lower level of murder, is usually manslaughter.
Yeah, but does Texas have anything in between? Do they have a murder 2 and murder 3 on top of manslaughter?
No, they don't. They got capital. And see, since you're telling me what I don't know, you should have known that. They have capital murder, manslaughter, negligent. They would have got him on manslaughter because the burden is reckless.
So do you agree, Mike, then, that manslaughter would have been an appropriate conviction?
I still wouldn't have agreed with the conviction versus the stand your ground, but that was the right appropriate charge to charge him with. That's the charge to charge him with. But murder was intent and knowingly. Now you have to come to the conclusion that this 17-year-old knew where he was sticking him and what his intent was, and they didn't prove that, Tim.
I think it's murder because he actually stabbed him. He didn't accidentally fucking stab him. He stabbed him on purpose.
It's not about stabbing him. It's about knowingly unaliving him. Intentionally
he knew he was gonna alive him when he stabbed him. All this fucking bullshit is like
answer me this.
He stabbed him. You would slash. If he was trying to keep him away, you would slash. You would slash someone away with a knife.
And hold on a second. In the comments, hold on. In the comments, Paul says the one thing that bothers me about the case is that there was no black folks on the jury. I feel you on that one, my black brothers and sisters. But murderers. Now he's MAGA that's saying it. I think that no blacks on the jury. Pretty much just like with George Zimmerman, if you got a black person being charged in a red area, a Republican conservative area with a major crime, a black person being charged with that, and the jury's all white, it ain't gonna be fair. I totally believe that. It ain't gonna be fair.
It ain't gonna be fair. Well, let me say this, Tim.
Let me answer his throat. I would say manslaughter.
Let me answer this moron. Let me answer this.
Someone.
And that's
Michael, you think you should get off?
Hold on.
So explain to me why.
Let me address.
Life was.
I will. But let me address your first stupid ass claim. If he slashed him across the throat and he unalived, you will be saying something different. So this is my whole point. You guys are going to the. Well, why not? If you slash him across the throat, isn't that the same? Is that the same end result?
No, because usually when you try to keep someone away, you flash.
Tim, I want you to listen to me.
And if you accidentally hit his throat, I could at least say he accidentally hit his throat.
Tim,
How am I
want
going
you
to
to
say he
listen.
accidentally stabbed and shoved the knife?
To me, if you're 17,
Hold on, because that's not what happened. And see, go read the transcript. You're looking at the end result.
How did that knife get in
Let
the
me
guy's
ask you this.
stomach or wherever?
Let me ask you this. So you don't even know where it went.
You tell me.
You need to stop talking, Margaret. You don't know. It was one poke, 2.5 inches into the kid's heart. Do you think that he aimed for that?
Come on, Mike, hold on, Mike. Let me answer that, Mike.
Tim, hold on, Tim. I'm just defending what MAGA Reacts is saying. He said if he slashed him, so if he slashed him across the throat or he poked him in the chest, what's the difference on intent?
You gotta aim and push through.
I'm going to say whether you're slashing somebody, I'm going to say if you deliberately hold on, MAGA. If you deliberately stab somebody in the chest, it is hard to argue that I wasn't trying to kill him. Like, really? Even now, the slashing of the neck, yes, a high likelihood you could cut some sort of major artery there as well. But stabbing somebody in the torso, you 17, you know that could kill the person.
But Tim, you guys are coming to the conclusion that he was aiming, that was his intent, and they never proved that. I don't know why you guys are skipping over that fact.
Itself.
Okay.
To keep him away.
What was okay, Mike, since you read all this, what was Austin Metcalf doing at the time he got stabbed in the chest?
He had a hold of Carmelo.
So he just holding on to him.
He had just grabbed him, Tim. Now here's another thing. And I want to be clear about this.
Now, was that grab gonna cause great bodily harm?
Wait a minute. He could have, because he's 70 pounds heavier than him. He could have tossed his ass all over them bleachers. Stop it.
Did anyone testify that he was gonna cause this kid great bodily harm?
They can't. Again, it's the only person that has to come to that conclusion is Carmelo by law. But here's the thing, Tim. I want to be very.
No, the jury has to agree with him.
Hold on, MAGA Reacts. Tim, do you carry pocket knives?
Yeah, well, I don't have. Yeah, I do every day. Yes.
What about you, MAGA Reacts?
I don't really. I mean, when I go fishing, when I'm on the water, yes.
Okay, cool. Tim, have you ever used yours? Without it being completely open?
No.
Have you ever used it where it's shaped like an L to forcefully do anything? Have you ever?
It's pretty sharp. Are you going to cut something doing that? Not really, no.
Of course. Now, why is that, Tim?
Because I don't want to cut something.
Or yourself.
Or myself, yeah.
Open it all the way. So it locks, right?
Yeah.
The knife was never opened all the way, Tim. Did you know that?
He stabbed him in the chest with a knife that was not even open?
Yes. No, I'm talking about all the way open. I'm talking about a 90. Hold on. You guys didn't know this?
I don't see how that's even possible.
It was, hold on. I didn't say not open. I said at a 90. How do you guys not know this stuff?
I don't see how that's even possible.
I don't see how that's possible.
I don't see how that's possible either.
Hold on, you guys. Jesus.
All right, so MAGA Reacts, you in Florida, right?
Hold on. You see this, Tim? They found it like this.
That don't.
It was never open all the way to where it snaps in, Tim.
How do you know it didn't get bent like that?
Right, that's what I'm going to ask you too. How do you? Yeah.
Listen. That's stupid. You guys are making it up. Tim, if this locks,
you mean the kid
hold on, MAGA Reacts. Hold on. Once this locks, Tim, can it fold without pushing this lever? Can you fold it without pushing the inside?
No, you can't. No, you cannot.
Of course. So if they found it like this.
I have a hard time imagining you stab somebody in the chest with a knife that was bent like that.
You know what? I can. Want me to tell you how?
How?
If they got to you before you got it all the way open. If they got to you before you got it all the way open, that's how that would happen. And how would that happen? Because a couple people testified that they saw arms reach out and pull Carmelo back in. Did you know that?
No, this would make a lot more sense if this guy had been more than just grabbed.
Everything testimony. Everything that I said, this is not my conclusion. This is what they testified to. So Tim, now that I showed you what they testified to with that knife being bent like that, you never use it without being locked in, right? You would never do that. You'd be afraid of cutting your fingers on the grip, right?
Yeah.
The only way that would happen is if they got to your ass before you could get it all the way open.
Listen, if that was the case, I would be in that fucking court testifying. Like, I would
If they got to him before he, so in other words, so in other words, it sounded like maybe he pulled the knife out and was about to, and they thought he was about to kill them, so they grabbed him in self-defense.
No, they pulled him back in, and I told you the wound was from left to right, Tim, not up and down, left to right. What does that mean, Tim?
I don't get. Wait a minute. This guy pulls out a knife, and you decide to grab him while he has a knife in his hand?
Do you know what they testified to?
What?
They never saw it. He never took his hand out. When he put his hand in their bag, Austin and Hunter, people testified that they said he's bluffing. He ain't got nothing in his bag. Did you know that?
I heard about that part.
Okay. So didn't they have a moment you retreat?
Which, to me, in my opinion, if they're saying that he's bluffing, he ain't got nothing in his bag, that don't sound like a man who's fearing for life. That sounds like a man who's threatening people.
That's what they said to him. It's not a threat. It's a
Why do they know he got something in his bag to make that statement?
He put his hand in his bag and said, "Put your hands on me and see what happens."
So he was indicating that to me that's almost like a threat.
Yes, leave me the fuck alone.
You don't sound like a guy that was fearing for 2 minutes.
On the thing and testify that I wasn't trying to stab him, that it was an accident.
Again, MAGA reacts. This trial was done before that. They knew what they were going to do.
MAGA reacts, you in Florida, right? You've been in Florida a long time. You know the Florida law system, like the court system and all that. You've been there a long time and know that.
I've had my fun with them, yes. I've had my fun.
So in Florida, because you in Miami, right?
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that you in Miami because I wasn't born and raised from, like I said earlier.
Although my cases are proud.
So let me ask you this question. In Miami, Florida, right? If somebody say that you did something or whatever the case said that I did and they can't prove it, would they let you go or would they arrest you?
I don't know. They probably let you go.
The reason why, you said so you go over there, you said, of course, they ain't got no evidence, and I'm glad that you said that, or the case should be like that. Because it goes to show what Mr. Mike was talking about, how the system works against people that look like us, or the case should be like that. My little cousin, now one thing, like you say, you know the Miami, Florida system. One thing in Miami, Florida, you know about pre-child release, right, in Miami, right? You know how they do it, right?
Yes, sir, ROR.
Okay. Hey, glad you say ROR, okay, so it be like that. My little cousin.
I had my fun, man.
Hold on, but I'm just in the back of Miss Mike to prove what he was saying, how the system shows differently. My little cousin, right? Those cases that they caught 10 years. Now, he caught 10 years from a home invasion. Tell Mr. Mike, if you think I'm lying, I ain't saying y'all think I'm lying, but hit me up. I give him my little cousin name, Wolf case, something like that, and show y'all everything. But no matter what. And he got arrested. He went to jail for 10 years, right, for home invasion. Not yet. Prison. The whole case should be like that.
Did he have priors?
When the witnesses, hold on, dude. But when the witnesses came up, the witnesses identified the other two people. But when it came down to him, the witnesses couldn't identify him. The witnesses said that, they didn't see him. You know what I'm saying? Like they can't say he was one of the people. But the other two people, they identified him. Why the hell my little cousin still got 10 years?
Okay, I mean, no one's arguing that the system isn't fucked up. But it gets it wrong all the time, but it's still better than almost anywhere else.
I don't believe that.
Can I say this before we go? I want to say this before we go, and there's a couple other topics I wanted, but MAGA asking Mike. Let me tell you this, Tim.
Hey,
the reason I have a problem
every live too, Michael. So
Go ahead, Mike. Bro,
I'm not tripping, bro. The reason I have a problem with coming to the conclusion of how come he didn't leave, that's the same as a woman being touched, and then somebody saying, well, why she even have that on? Or why is she wearing that? Well, it's the same thing. The bottom line is the law is supposed to be applied equally to everyone.
Well, let me respond to that. If I agree with you I agree with your argument that it's like saying a woman you know, it didn't have that on. If we can show a woman that was on the ground and her clothes were all dirty and shit like that, and she took out the guy believing he was going to rape her, that's one thing. But if she did all of this at the grabbing stage, he grabbed my arm and I shot him in the head. I think what happened to Carmelo Anthony is, I think what, to me, in my opinion, based on what I've seen, Carmelo Anthony acted way too quickly for me to accept all of the other speculation as to what he thought was going to happen.
So again, take the pew pew out. Even the example you just used. If a woman is walking and a man reaches out to grab her, after she's already told him, "Don't put your hands on me,"
You can't kill him.
and hold on, Tim, and she grabs him, or he grabs her. He's a bigger guy like you, and she wheels around and sticks him, whether she meant to stick him in the arm or stick him into whatever. She has a right to protect herself, Tim.
Hold on, let me say. It depends on where it happens at, Mike. Yeah, I'm about to say. Yeah, that's what I'm about to say. It depends on where it happens at.
It goes back to what Mr. Mike said. Like, that's why I have brought up the situation about my cousin. The witnesses who it happened to, they said that they couldn't identify this young black man. They can't say that it was him or whatever the case had been like that. And that was the first time he had ever been in trouble with the law, and he caught 10 years. It's different, man.
Tim, let me ask you this. If Carmelo's the girl, do you think he's in in prison for murder right now?
And only thing that happened was a grab.
The same scenario, just changed Carmelo to a girl. Same scenario. Is she in prison right now?
Ooh, I would say I could still see the manslaughter thing happen. Hold on, let me answer that. Hold on, let me answer from a detailed perspective. It depends on the size of the girl. Is it Queen Latifah or is it Jennifer? Oh no, is it Queen Latifah or is it Jennifer Aniston? The size of the girl matters.
Girl's the same size as Carmelo. Same size as Carmelo. 5'8", 130 pounds, Tim. Same size. And they're 200 pounds. Is the girl in prison, yes or no?
Probably not as much, no.
Maga reacts. Is she in prison, yes or no? Hold on one second,
I would say yes, because it's still like a public place that you don't expect to get beat up and really hurt.
Absolutely. I know you're just saying yes because you know where it's going. She's not even getting charged.
I don't agree with that.
Let me finish. Just let me finish.
I'd be like, no.
The same scenario is just the girl. Is she going to prison? Is she getting charged? Tim, you said no. I'm not sure a jury would convict her, but I'm not agreeing with you that she might not get charged though. I'm not for certain of that part. Hold on, real. The reason why she's not going to get charged is because they're going to accept her version of her theory for her safety quicker than a man.
That is true.
The law doesn't care.
That is true.
The law doesn't care, Tim. The law doesn't specify gender.
It doesn't matter if they specified or not. We know Mike. Hold on, Mike. We know the law treats women with kid gloves compared to men. That's why a woman can murder somebody. And the first thing they start asking a woman, well, was he abusing you? You can't go out and kill your wife and have the cops ask you, were you being abused? They don't give a shit. But they would ask your wife that.
Let me use a man one time, because I remember there was a story of this little white boy that he had did something, and the judge said that because he grew up privileged, or if a case said be like that, he shouldn't have to suffer these things or whatnot.
Affluenza.
So it goes back to what Ms. Mike was saying, or whatever case said be like that, how it's different. Because no matter that he grew up privileged or not, he still should have suffered the consequence.
That was the one that raped the girl in California.
Yeah. Said he had affluenza. I know the case you talk. Gentlemen, I gotta move it on. But look, I'm not gonna pretend like the system is not favorable to white people more than black people, which is why I said that I think that even in this case, though, if a black person did what Carmelo Anthony did to another black person, I don't think they're guaranteed to get off.
Mr. Tim, we should stand on, sir, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
I understand. I'm not disagreeing with that. That's never going to happen, though, in a country where we're the minorities.
Maybe I can say manslaughter, but
listen.
It's okay. There's nothing that tells me that this guy's life was in danger.
Just Tim, you can 1 minute with you. Give me 1 minute with you. I don't even need MAGA reacts anymore.
I got okay. I'm moving on from the other gentleman. All right, real talk. Appreciate it. All right, real quick. You got a minute. You got 60 seconds. Go ahead.
Let me say this to you, Tim. You are significantly bigger than me. I'm 220. I'm not even a little dude. I'm not allowing you to get in your comfort zone and get in my space and get a hold of me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Matter of fact, you tell me, would it be smart for me to allow you to get your hands on me? Would that be smart?
No, but you can't just jump the gun that simply because I put my hands on you, you were about to face death so you could kill me. Now, every bar fight in existence, if there was a huge weight disparity, that means the small guy could kill the other guy.
No. But see, you going straight to what the end result was. I'm not trying to.
Okay. Then how about attempt to kill the guy? How about attempt to? You're using lethal force.
Even that, I'm trying to get your big ass off me. And I done told you already, Tim. Don't put your hands on me. You see,
You're not gonna walk for that, Mike. You're not gonna walk for that.
You're also trying to apply the logic of a grown person to the logic of a 17-year-old. If you're walking up to me and I got my hand in my bag and I say, Tim, you better back the fuck up. And you don't take that as a credible warning, you don't? Well, then, Tim, you keep coming, whatever come out of that bag, you've earned.
No, I'm just telling you. I understand your point. I'm just saying, don't depend on the court to accept that. You might take me out, but you may end up spending a lot of time behind bars for that. Don't expect the courts to just let you do that.
And what I'm telling you, in Texas, by the laws, do you know you can unalive somebody for protecting your property in Texas? Your property.
I've heard of that. Yes, I've heard that.
So if you can unalive for protecting your property for fear, Tim, that story I told you, look it up, Joe Horn. He was in no fear. He was in his house, secure. He came out of his house and unalived 2 robbers running away in Texas. Running away and got off.
Well,
did you hear what I just said?
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this one more time before I let you go. Do you think that the Carmelo Anthony family hired good lawyers for him?
He was either brilliant or he was completely unqualified or inept. And either way, it's going to play out in appellate court. And on this app, I've talked to 3 attorneys, 2 directly out of Texas, that agree with exactly what I said. Had they charged him for, like you said, manslaughter, he doesn't believe murder 1, but he said the same thing I said. I don't even believe that they proved beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty of murder 1.
Well, we'll see. I gotta move. I'll go ahead and move it on. We'll see. I don't think it's going to turn out the way you're saying. If I'm wrong, I'll eat crow all day long. But I'm thinking Carmelo Anthony is going to do. He's probably going to do those. Well, I don't want to say he's going to do the 17. I could see him on appeal having his sentence reduced, and I could see him fighting for an appeal in his because he's already turned down 1 deal, right?
I heard reported that there was a deal that they gave for 2 to 6, right?
Right. So if they come back to him and tell him while he's filing an appeal, you could either fight this appeal and stay behind bars, or we'll knock it down to 10 years or something like that. I could see that happen. But I don't see this guy getting out of prison in 3 to 5 years or whatever you're talking about. I can see them offering him another deal and him taking it.
But the only reason, if he takes the deal, he can't appeal.
Right. Well, yeah, but he didn't take the deal, and now he's doing 3 decades.
He'll get. First of all, he has three attempts at appeals in the state of Texas.
Right.
He has 3, so he will be able to appeal, and I think his appeal case will come up within the next 2 years.
And I'm telling you, I think that if he files an appeal and the prosecutors or the state thinks that he even has a remote case, by then the whole outrage on this will have died down. Okay, we won't, we'll take your 35 and knock it down to, 25. You do half of that or something like that. He's already seen what can happen if you turn down a deal. I mean, and at that point, he'll be 3 to 5 years or so in his sentence. So you only got another 5 to 7 years to do. You can take this, or you can reject this appeal and keep trying to fight that 35. I think they might take it at that point.
Well, in his appeal, they're not going to offer him it. It's just an appeal.
It's just an appeal for a new trial.
And the state can't offer to reduce that? The state can't offer to reduce that?
Not at the appellate process, to my understanding.
Okay, we'll see. All right, we'll leave it at that. But I don't see the guy getting out of 3 to 5. You and I disagree on that. If you're right, that's good on the Carmelo Anthony family, but I don't see it.
I ain't been wrong very often now, have I?
This one is different. I think you're wrong on this one.
That's what you told me about this whole administration too.
All right, we'll talk about it during the national election in 2 years or so. Appreciate it. All right, appreciate it. And tap the screen and get the lights on. I'd like to know that if during the appellate process, can they give him a lighter sentence or whatever to convince him to drop the appeal? I wonder if they can do that or not. Now, Mike said they can't. I don't know, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. But like I said, if he's done 3-4 years already in there, and they tell him you can file this appeal, or we'll drop your sentence from 35 years to 20. And once again, you got to do half of the 20, which means now you got to do 10, and you've already done 3 to 5 of it. You'll be out in 5. You can fight this, or you can take this 5 and be out, or you can fight it, and if you lose, you're going to do that full 35. I think he would take it, if that's possible. Mike says it's not. Tap the screen, get us up to 80,000, if you will. Help your boy out the hat and mustache. TikTok cap goals. It's a no Tim appeal, it yes or no. I don't get what you're saying there, MAGA Reacts. Collin County, you're going to get just as fast. No Dallas bullshit. I believe that the way Carmelo Anthony was handled, I absolutely believe race is involved in it. I don't believe there's 2 angles to this. The left believes that particularly African Americans believe Carmelo Anthony should have walked, which is what you heard Mike say as well. The right believes that he did a heinous crime, he should do the time, and there was no racial element to it at all. My opinion is both sides are wrong. I don't think he should walk, and I damn sure think he got hammered due to a racial bias. I don't think 35 years is what he gets if it's blacks on the jury, if it's black on black crime, if it's white on white crime. I think a black guy killing a white dude comes with a stronger sentence, particularly in blood red Texas. JPT Farms, appreciate the hat and mustache. Thank you very much. I do believe that if you were talking about a very, or better yet, a much smaller white Carmelo Anthony stabbing under the same circumstances, a bigger black Austin Metcalf that was a football player, I don't believe that small white Carmelo Anthony gets murdered with 35 years. I'm not saying he would walk. I don't think he gets 35 years in a murder conviction in Texas. I do not believe an all-white jury would have gave a smaller white guy stabbing a big black dude murder with 35. So I do believe there's a racial element to it, in addition to, I believe Carmelo Anthony did commit a crime. Tim asked Alexa if the transcripts are publicly available. I didn't see the alter ego. Better yet, Alexa, are the Carmelo Anthony case transcripts available publicly?
The Carmelo Anthony case transcripts aren't publicly available yet. Would you like to know more about the case's recent developments?
No. That's interesting because Mike is saying he read them. I see where you're going with that, alter ego. Alexa, stop. Alexa, stop. Alter ego, you're a slick motherfucker for that. I see where you're going with that. Mike is saying he read them. Whoa. Alter ego, you slick motherfucker with that. Tap the screen, get the likes up to 80,000. Alter ego, wow. I wasn't expecting that. I heard Donald Trump was going to attack the infrastructure in Iran. Have you heard this? Yes. Handsome conservative. Yes. In fact, not only have I heard he was going to attack the infrastructure in Iran, they actually did it. They actually did it on a small scale. There are parts of Iran where the people cannot get fresh water. They did indeed bomb a desalination. I think it's 2 of them. I think it's 2 of them. They actually did do that. And obviously, Trump had been threatening to do that from day one. Yes, I have heard that. They did it, though. They actually did that. The inhumanity coming from the Trump administration never ceases to amaze me. I still have no idea why the Cubans are in the dark. I have no idea why he done that to them. Even if you want to claim Cuba is not playing ball with the United States or they're an oppressive regime, whatever statement you want to fill in the blank on Cuba and the Castros, why would you put the citizens of that country in the dark for almost 2 months now? Tropical area, much closer to the equator, even south of Florida. So you know it's hot than a motherfucker down there right now in June. They have no air conditioning. They can't heat. They can't refrigerate their meats. The hospitals. I mean, why would you do that? The lack of humanity in some of Trump's actions, how could that not be a war crime? How could that not be a war crime? I don't understand that. There's no legitimate reason to do that to the people of Cuba. I don't understand it. Anyway, Tim, do you think that racism and the court system are inseparable? I think the courts absolutely have racism throughout it because there's no shortage of cops that often get caught with an alter ego. Thank you for the love. I appreciate that. And I do apologize for not seeing that comment earlier. Appreciate it, alter ego. There's no shortage of cops that get caught sending racist emails. You hear about this shit almost every few months. A cop got caught with a bunch of racist emails or his family tricked on him. I just posted an article the other day of a cop whose wife released all kinds of, he got into estranged from his wife. Him and his wife got into an issue and his wife released all kinds of shit proving this dude was a racist. He's on the police force. So the system has plenty of racism in it. There's no other way to deny that. There's no other way to state that. Anybody who tells you the system does not have racism in it is bullshit. If you actually had as many LGBTQ transgender people abusing kids as the right suggests, or you had as many immigrants, raping and murdering as the right suggests, you actually have a lot of video of cops doing shit. You don't have to speculate. There is hundreds of videos of cops getting caught doing shit that's racist, killing people wrongfully and doing bad stops and all of that. Hundreds of videos going back our entire lifetime. So it is impossible to deny that racism is, I want to say, rampant among police officers. They can see all this shit with the trans, with the immigrants, and it ain't nowhere near to the level it is with the police department. You can't show as many immigrants raping and murdering people as you can show bad cops, or transgender going into bathrooms harming kids as you can show bad cops. The videos of cops, and this is before the cops even wore body cams. The citizens have been filming them doing shit. The body cams just made it worse. So yeah, I don't think you can separate those two because the courts the cops work for the court system. And the only way you usually end up in court is by way of a cop. And we know racism is rampant within police departments. So no, I think the two are inseparable. MAGA reacts 2 homes, a fishing boat, just a joke. Now Jay said, I get it. You said MAGA reacts is not just a regular Joe Schmo if he got 2 homes and a fishing boat. And one of the homes is in a different part of the state. Jury of peers, Josh says jury of peers, not jury of your peeps. True, but that does increase the likelihood that jury's not going to be fair. I don't think there's anybody in law that would tell you if you're black, if you're white, let's say you're white, you're in the hood somewhere and you do something horrible and you end up being charged with a major felony as a white guy, and the jury is all black people. There's no lawyer out there that's going to tell you that is a fair jury for you. All the lawyers, you killed a black person, and you got a bunch of people on a jury that look like the person you killed. All of the lawyers, any defense lawyer is going to tell you that is not a good thing for that white defendant. So yeah, in Carmelo Anthony's case, getting an all-white jury is not a good thing for him. I'm not going to pretend like that does not make a difference. Everybody has seen A Time to Kill with Matthew McConaughey where the guy convinces them by saying, close your eyes and imagine he's white. Color matters. Let's not pretend like that does not matter. You relate to people that look closer to you than other people. Color absolutely matters. Josh says hundreds of videos, but millions of cops during that time. You can't condemn the 99% of them for the actions of 1%. Josh, I got to disagree with you. You're making the argument that 99% of cops are good. I'm going to submit to you that 99% of priests are not good. There's no way in hell I believe that 99% of cops are good. I'm not going to say that all cops are bad. There's plenty of good cops out there. But the ratio of good to bad is not 1% to 99%. There's a lot more. I'll tell you something, just about every cop show, just about every cop show on TV features a bad cop. And many of those shows have cops working to help them do research and shit to make the show authentic. Even the cop shows have bad cops. So and here's one in particular, because they always say the cops are not mistreating blacks, they just out doing wrong shit and not compliant. Just about every predominantly black television show in existence, going all the way back to the Sanford Son era, every predominantly African-American show has had at least one episode dedicated to cops mistreating somebody on the show. Even Family Matters with Steve Urkel and his dad was a cop. Just about every predominantly black show has had at least one episode dedicated to the cops fucking with one of the cast members. It is that prevalent. So, the 99% thing doesn't resonate with me. I don't, like I said, you wouldn't believe 99% of immigrants are good. You don't have anywhere near the footage of all of them doing nothing bad, and you don't buy it with them. You believe they're taking over whole apartment complexes in Colorado and raping and murdering everybody. You don't have anywhere near the amount of footage of immigrants being bad as you do cops. So I'm not going to say all cops are bad, but it's absolutely not 99% to 1. That's way, way, way off. Tap the screen, get the likes up. We'll go to 80,000. We'll take the next call. I'll read a few comments. Tap the screen, get us up to 80,000 if you will. Me22 says true tip. Yeah, I don't want to say all cops are bad, but I'm not going to pretend like they're damn near perfect at 99%. That's crazy. All cops are not racist. I can agree with that. But I bet you more than 1% of them are. Way more than you got whole departments that have been caught exchanging racist shit, or they get one black chief or one black leader and the whole department resigns. I'll give you Ferguson, Missouri. How many of you heard about Hands Up, Don't Shoot, where an investigation showed that the claims that Mike Brown had his hands up saying don't shoot was wrong, and the cop was being wrongfully prosecuted? But then when Obama's Department of DOJ, when Obama's DOJ, Eric Holder, looked into that shit, that town was doing all kinds of racist shit to its citizens. Now, Mike Brown's case looked like it was not accurate, but they were giving the black people in that town all kinds of discretionary tickets, shit for like jaywalking and not crossing at the intersection and just fucking with them for anything, and doing it to the poor class people. It was mostly black people they were doing that to. In that town, Ferguson, the one that burned near St. Louis. So I'm not going to say 99%. That's called indoctrination and fear-mongering, says Josh. It's easy to keep a community down if you make TV shows to make them think the cops are against them. Do you realize, Josh, that even black cops say the cops treat black people unfair? Do you realize that even black cops do that? I mean, even black cops tell you that they've had a talk with their kids. They're on the force and they can see it. You think the cops are making it up too, huh? In other words, anybody that suggests that black people are being a victim of racism, they just all making it up. Been making it up since the beginning of time. I get it. Josh, I disagree with you. I appreciate your support, your input, but I disagree with you. I don't think the TV shows are doing it for fear and indoctrination. I believe it's actually happening. And here's something I will tell you. The point would be stronger if there was not so many videos coming out every fucking month of cops doing wrong. Watch Police Activity, watch Audit the Audit, some of the YouTube videos. They're finding bad cops and catching them on camera like almost every week. You really don't, all that's made up? Like all of that? How much does it take for, you didn't need to see many people eating cats and dogs to believe that. How many immigrants have you seen eating cats and dogs? Now compare it to how many cops you've seen doing something wrong. Tell me which one you believe. Nobody said that they were all perfect, but for every bad video, there's probably hundreds and hundreds of cops doing a great job. True, Florida Blondie. That's absolutely true. Just like for every Lincoln Riley, there's hundreds and hundreds of immigrants just going to work every day. For hundreds and hundreds of immigrants, there's virtually none of them eating cats and dogs. Tell me where you want this to stop. You can use it to defend cops, but you're going to let Trump say all that shit about everybody else, huh? Let me know when you want it to be fair, because your example goes against all the stuff that Trump is saying. Hundreds, and if not thousands, if not millions of immigrants, they're here just going to work every day. They're not here to rape and murder people. They didn't come from insane asylums. Nobody released them from prison. Let's use your example you're using to defend cops and apply it to everybody else that's being wronged as well. Tap the screen, get the likes up. We'll go back to the box. Are we at 80,000? We'll make it happen with M-Dub. Good evening, M-Dub. Illegal immigrants or immigrants? I'm talking about illegal immigrants. Those are the ones he's accusing of raping and murdering people. I'm telling you, illegal immigrants are coming here and just trying to work under the table. They're not raping and murdering people. Illegal immigrants is what I'm talking about. M-Dub, good evening.
Hey, good evening, man. How you doing?
I'm in the trenches. I'm getting beat up by all sides.
You caught me off guard, man. I didn't think I was going to be able to get in before you got into the weekend, man. How's it going?
I'm doing good. My apologies. What bring you up this time? What am I getting wrong today?
No, you kind of spot on with some stuff.
Whoa, you're the only one to say that.
I said some stuff, not all stuff.
I tried to stretch it out. You know, like when you're poor, you try to stretch out spam by putting eggs in it. I'm trying to stretch it out.
Hey, I do want to touch something that somebody brought up about the war, and you said that Trump bombed the infrastructure and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting now that they're talking about, reaching a deal after Iran threatened to kind of blow up Elon Musk's offices. And
did he really do that? Did they really? I didn't hear about that.
It was on the news, yeah.
Wow.
Iran was like, they were going to go, Elon Musk's properties were on the target menu for Iran.
Damn.
A couple of days later, now all of a sudden we got a deal.
Let me ask you something.
Anything to do with the opening of the SpaceX IPO and all that other good stuff?
Oh my! Let me ask you something. Is it unpatriotic if you believe America's mistreating a country, like say Cuba or Iran or Venezuela? Is it unpatriotic to actually be rooting for that other country and rooting for your country to not succeed?
I say as a black man, absolutely not. And I shouldn't even say it shouldn't have anything to do with color. I think if you're looking at it from a right versus a wrong, you should be doing that. You should be saying, come on, man. Because right now, this Trump administration is on some pinky in the brain type shit. Trying to take over the world and all that type stuff.
I can't argue with it. I can't. It's hard to argue with. It's hard to argue with an administration that has bombed or threatened to bomb about a dozen countries in less than 2 years. I mean, Greenland threatened Canada, threatened Colombia, did it to Venezuela, doing it to Iran. We bombed Syria, Nigeria. It's Cuba's next. Like, it's crazy.
Let me put something in perspective for you, right?
Mm-hmm.
When Trump was talking about taking over Greenland,
right,
the whole world rose up. Oh no, you can't do that. You can't do that. When Ukraine was getting, torn up by Russia. Oh, we got to do something with Ukraine. The world rushes to Ukraine's side.
Right.
But when we go to Cuba, it's silent.
That ain't true. It's silent from the free world. But Russia and Iran and China, they don't agree with what we're doing in Cuba.
Okay, I'll give you that because I should caveat that by saying this stateside media, right? It's very quiet But why don't they make the same noise for, Haiti and Cuba and
Yeah.
all that other good stuff, right? So I just think, that's just the U.S., man. I always say the U.S. is gangster, man.
Yeah.
It's just straight up gangster.
How do you now I asked one of my guests earlier, and let me know what your answer is on this. With us talking about Iran as the world's largest state sponsor of terror, what is the difference between what they're doing and what we're doing? We're terrorizing countries right and left, threatening and bombing people. How are we any different?
No, we're not. We're not. We just, because we tell ourselves we're so egocentric. We just tell ourselves that, this is the way God wants it. So all of a sudden that just makes it right. No, we're no different. Like I said, nobody ever talks about why Iran is resisting. And when you look at all the other Arab countries around them, they all have a relationship with the U.S. I really don't care. I heard somebody else say earlier that Iran treats their people bad. How many people, like citizens from Iran, do you really hear about them complaining about being treated bad?
Well, there are people. They killed a lot of protesters. And by the way, in the comments, Josh says we are superior, so that's why we don't come across as.
And that's the mindset, right? But you're really not. You're no different than anybody else. And as far as them killing other protesters, and I'm gonna caveat this by saying I still need to read up on this more, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what it was remember that number was like 30 or 40,000 protesters.
Yep.
Right.
That's
but
what they claim. That's what they
right?
claim.
When you talk to people on the inside, they will say that they had protesters, true indeed, but they were armed and they were shooting at the police. They were a threat to the Iranian police. So what do you think they're going to do in return?
Well, if you're killing, so what is it? Closer to a civil war? I don't know if I believe. Yeah, I don't know if I believe it. I don't know if I believe the numbers being released by the Trump administration. They say they're killing 30,000 and all of that. Because I don't know how we would know that.
Not at all. And then before I forget and leave, I did want to give props to some of your guests. Is it Michael?
Mike the Boss, yes, Mike the Boss.
Mike the Boss, I give him props on that. I give him his props.
Do you agree with him that Carmelo Anthony should have walked?
No, I don't think he should have walked. I think there should have been some accountability. But
how much time would you give him? How much time would you
no
suggest? 10 years.
No more than 10 or less. Shoot, I'm in Texas, so we dealing with a young black boy that just got blasted. And the guy that, did the blasting got no time at all. And then, was accused of stealing what, water?
Yeah, you're talking about the child case.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I see why people say he shouldn't get anything.
Yeah.
But in the spirit of accountability.
Yeah, and that's what I think it is. It's just like with O.J. Simpson. Most black people did not think O.J. Simpson was innocent. They just felt that white people were getting away with shit, and it's finally good to see a black person get away with something too. Yeah, and that's what I think is in this case. That's what I think is happening, is that they just want to be able to say, look, if you letting one, because that's all you hearing them say with Carmelo Anthony, is they're bringing up cases of white people that got away with stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I will say this. I wouldn't have been mad if he would have walked, though. I wouldn't have been mad. Because I do think looking at him, reading the articles and stuff, I do think that there was some remorse there. But I just think that I think it's more what you said earlier, where you have the playing field is going to be different for blacks and whites in the same situation.
Yeah.
Let me do one more thing. Give some props to Travel Man.
Oh.
I like his perspective.
We like Travel Man. Yeah,
but I do disagree. I think it's a while back, so I don't know if you remember. I had actually said the U.S. was responsible for starting the Ukraine war.
Really?
Maybe I shouldn't have said responsible.
Okay.
But I do believe the U.S. undermined that war.
In what way?
Well, you got to look at who some of the peace negotiators or whoever the people were in the Biden administration that were representing the U.S. at that time. Look up the name Victoria Nuland, right? Victoria Nuland was the one that was kind of in between Ukraine and Russia, and she's saying, oh, okay, Ukraine, we're going to take care of you. And Russia, you don't have to worry about anything. We're going to play fair in the sandbox. But then she goes and she finds a way to get Ukraine some weapons and arms and support. So Putin on the other side looking at this like, wait a minute, you said that y'all weren't going to do this, and now you're doing it. And if you keep doing this, my response is going to be asymmetrical. And he delivered on his word.
I don't know if I agree with that, because this was the third time that Russia they attacked Georgia, 08, Crimea, 14. Russia was already attacking them. I don't think that had anything. I think they were going to do it anyway.
But things were already stable, man. I'm telling you, I do believe the U.S. kind of undermined this war.
Well, we make a lot of money. We make a lot of money in war. So most wars on the planet, we do undermine.
Yeah, and then in return, you give the dude old weapons to fight with. Right.
He did a lot of damage with that old shit, though. He did a lot of damage with that old shit. By the time Trump took office, when Trump became president, he was already giving these huge numbers of how many Russians were dead. Them old weapons we gave the Ukrainians did a lot of damage to Russia.
Yeah, no doubt it did. I just don't think that the U.S. was like, their hands were clean on this. I think that there was some kind of way that they undermined this into happening.
Travelman's in the comments disagreeing with you.
Yeah, I know he would. I listen to his perspective, and I respect that, But especially, his time that he put in and stuff and what he's seen. I can't even,
Right.
My knowledge doesn't compare to that.
Same.
But,
my opinion is the same.
Yeah, so but appreciate you, man. Get me up, and I just had to give props to, some of your co-hosts that were out there, man.
Appreciate it, M-Dub. Always welcome back. Thank you very much. We'll bring you up sooner. I didn't know you had been in that long, but looking in the comments, by the way, Clinton also went to Epstein's Island and stole billions from the U.S. citizens. Laughed my ass off. I don't know what's going on with the Epstein thing. I'll just tell you this. It's pretty clear Trump does not want us to get to the bottom of it. And it's so apparent that MAGA, their only defense for Trump is to point to other Democrats. Well, Biden had the list. There is no defense for what Trump is doing. There literally is not. It reeks of cover-up. There were votes to try to get to the bottom of it, and Mike Johnson sent people on vacation and shit like that. You got Marjorie Taylor Greene making it clear that Trump was resisting her, calling her a traitor. Now, the only thing Marjorie Taylor Greene did wrong is she wanted to get to the bottom of the Epstein stuff. Same thing with Lorena Bobart, the other Republican, controversial Republican congresswoman out of Colorado, Lorraine Bobart or whatever. Same thing. She wanted to get to the bottom of the Epstein files. Now Trump is trying to get her primary. So we can go any direction with Epstein that we want, claim whoever's on the list or whatever. I'm not even here to say Trump violated anybody. I'm just going to say one thing. It's pretty clear. He don't want you to know who did. He absolutely is covering up. Thanks to Trump, you don't know who violated anybody. His administration has made it so that we know some grown-ass men violated some kids, and Trump has prevented you from knowing any of their names. The stuff they have released has been heavily redacted. We don't have a single name to this day from the Trump administration. And for some strange reason, Ghislaine Maxwell was promoted to a federal camp. Thanks to the Trump administration, her prison sentence became significantly easier to serve. And they didn't explain that whatsoever. Didn't tell you, well, what information did she give? What did she get out of her? Why the hell did you upgrade her multiple levels and make her, she can bring dogs and shit to jail now. Why the hell did she get the party that's supposed to be tough on crime and all of this shit? How the hell did you do this to what amounts to a serial pedophile? No explanation for that whatsoever from the Trump administration. And not a lot of criticism from MAGA for doing that. Yet they have no problem pointing out all sorts of leftist judges that let some urban kid out in the hood with a slap on the wrist, or they don't punish somebody enough. But they're not saying a damn thing about why Ghislaine Maxwell, who is a serial pedophile, has been upgraded in prison like that. Not much of a cry from MAGA on that one at all. So there's no way to know who got violated or what, but it's obvious, beyond obvious, that Trump is trying to cover up for something. Only defense is to bring up Biden or Bill Clinton or somebody, some liberal, to try to take some of the shade off of Trump. But Trump is covering up. Members of his own party is telling you he's covering up. That's how bad it is. Looking in the comments, most files still are not released. Trump is guilty, says, I think this says Donovan. Yeah, most of the files are not released. Most of them absolutely are not released. Biden couldn't stop an ice cream truck fast enough, says Florida Blondie. That's what I'm talking about. We're talking about the Epstein files, and there's nobody in the comments defending Trump. They're just pointing to some liberals. There's no defense of what he's doing whatsoever. The guy who everybody thought we need to get rid of Biden, get rid of these liberals, because you get Trump, he's going to drain the swamp, he's going to help us get to the bottom of this shit. When it comes to the Epstein files, Trump has been an utter disappointment. He's been an utter disappointment on that. And that was one of the main reasons a lot of MAGA voted for him, is he was going to finally get to the bottom of this pedophile ring. He's absolutely done just the opposite. Looking in the comments, Florida, you have no evidence for that. She's attacking liberals because she don't have any defense for Trump. Looking in the comments, somebody else, yeah, but Biden would have released the but Biden. No defense for Trump whatsoever. It's just all but somebody else. He's president now. Biden's economy sucked. There's things about Biden's border security people believe suck. Biden's gone now. Trump is in office. If Trump fails, pointing out what the last guy did, he's not going to, you can't just live off a healthy diet of what the last guy did. What happened to derangement syndrome? Tell me how that's not derangement syndrome. Somebody explain that to me. Looking in the comments, Trump equals sociopath liar, says yikes. Tap the screen, get the likes on up to 85. That will take the next caller. Kevin says Trump has failed America. The system has been, Trump has failed America. I don't know what that means, but you say the system has been broke. Oh, failed. I guess you mean Trump has failed America. The system has been broke for decades and racism will never, ever stop. You got ignorant people in the world, has not changed. One made a difference or something, no matter who you are. No one made it. Yeah, I do agree with most of that. MAGA hates America. Democrats love America. I don't go with any of that. I don't stereotype either party and suggest one party hates America, one party loves, because that's what the right says. They say Democrats hate America. Trump has said that. Trump has said, you don't think anybody on his security detail voted left? Nobody working in the Capitol building or none of these, all of these are Republicans, huh? You think our military, while we're attacking Iran, you think all of those soldiers and sailors and folks, all of them folks are Republican, huh? People putting their lives on the line and shit. All of them, ain't none of them Democrats, huh? Only Republicans love America. That's the most disrespectful shit a president could say. You want to talk about Colin Kaepernick or some liberal disrespecting the military? To have a president suggest that the Democrats that voted against him, that are serving in the military, putting their lives on the line, hates the country. That's the most disrespectful shit you could say to any left-leaning serviceman or woman. That's really disrespectful. Think about how many Democrats are in the fucking ground or missing limbs, dealing with PTSD that they incurred while fighting for this country. To tell them folks they hate America and you ain't served a goddamn day in the military, and you want to point out Colin Kaepernick, really? Let me go back to the box, tap the screen, get the lights on up to 85,000, if you will. We'll go to one of my subscribers, called out, by the way, Travelman. Good evening. Welcome to the program.
Hey, what's up, bro?
Not much. Do you agree with me in the suggestion that Democrats hate America? Now, you did a whole full ride, correct?
20 years military, then 15 years as a network engineer with Customs and Border Protection, 35 years altogether.
Now, you are a proud red-blooded conservative, right?
No.
Democrats hate America. What the hell does that mean?
I'm not a liberal either.
Okay. You're a Democrat. Have you voted Democrat?
No, I'm not a Democrat. I vote who I believe is best for the country.
Have you ever voted for a Democrat being best?
Oh, yeah. I voted for a Republican, but after January 6th, I'd never vote for another Republican again. I said that the day it happened.
Have you ever voted for Trump? Ran 3 times. Did you vote for him any of those times?
I wouldn't vote for Trump to run that dog catcher. And the reason I say that is because I have been reading about Trump since the 80s. Okay, I read a lot. And I also read a lot of financial books and, things like that and biography and stuff like that. So I have been reading about him since the 80s, ever since I graduated high school. So, since I was in the Marine Corps. What
about McCain and Romney? Did you give either one of them a shot?
I like both of them. McCain, I like. Romney was good, and then he went to the right. That's why he lost, because Romney made that turn and went too far to the right, and that's basically why he lost to Obama. If the Romney that was the governor of Massachusetts,
yeah,
and they put in a healthcare plan up there, if he would have stayed and they did the Olympics, if he would have stayed that Romney, maybe he could. You
think Romney, if he had remained somewhat center right, would have beat Obama's run for re-election?
He would have had a better chance than what he had. I believe. But once he made that turn to the right, he started talking all that crazy shit. Then,
So Romney didn't get your vote.
No.
John McCain, the war hero, or my heroes don't get captured. Did John McCain in 2008 get your vote?
I voted for Obama both times.
Okay.
I voted for Reagan. I almost voted for W.
You voted for Reagan. You're responsible for a whole lot of shit that's happening now, sir.
But you gotta remember though, I was 18. I was 20 years old.
Reagan convinced an 18-year-old black man to vote for him?
I was 20 years old.
20.
Matter of fact, where was that? I was in California, and coming out of Carter.
Wow.
I thought he would do better. And it took me about 3 or 4 months, maybe 6 months into his administration. And then I was like, that's the worst thing I could do.
Because he's about the furthest right the Republicans have had, other than, I think Trump is further to the right than Reagan, but he would be second.
Yeah, at the time. But you got to look at who he was running against.
Mondale, and who's the other guy? Who's the clown running around with the He ran against Carter. He ran against Carter, then I think Mondale.
Yeah. But right quick, Tim.
Sure.
The young man, in case everybody who panty's been in the wad for the last week.
Carmelo Anthony.
Yeah, and the young kid that died. Out of all the conversations I've heard, I have not heard anybody say. Everybody say, "Well, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do that?" You know why they didn't? Because they were 17-year-old kids.
Yeah.
Their frontal vortex hasn't developed, which controls impulse.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't. That's why when you turn 25 or 30 years old and you look back and you be like, damn, I did some stupid shit back then. Because you was acting on impulse and you're going to have that switch.
But what about the notion, if Carmelo Anthony was acting in self-defense, what about the notion that when he turns 25, he might be like, still, I didn't have a choice. They were going to hurt me. I just did it do you think he would view it that way? Or do you think he would view it the way you just said? Well, man, I done some stupid shit back then. I wouldn't have to be in there.
He's already, from the time it happened, based on his behavior, from what I read, he had already regretted. He didn't think he had killed him, unalived him. So he wasn't a bad kid. This is another thing. People tend to take kids that do something or people that do something, and they disregard their life, and they form their opinion based on this one instance.
The one incident is murder, though, Travel.
What I'm saying though is that when you go back and look, he was a thug. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I get it. I get it.
No, he wasn't. He was a good student. He was a pretty good kid. And like I said, 16, 17-year-olds, and they acted on impulse, and that's what you got. Okay, I'm not gonna speculate on the rest of it. I think they could have came up with a better charge. I think he could have got a much better representation.
But you yourself does not believe he should have walked. You don't agree with the 35. You don't agree with murder one, but you yourself does not believe he should have walked.
No. He should. You got to have some responsibility. You got to take some responsibility.
Yeah.
You know, and he put up his defense, and you know he should have got some responsibility. But see, and everybody is, you know, they bringing in all the racial stuff into it, and there's a reason it comes into this, because this is a racist ass country. Okay, and you have what you call in the educational system and in the policing of black neighborhoods and kids, you have the adultification of young black kids, where you see a 12-year-old girl and they think that a 12-year-old black kid and they think that she's 18, 19 years old.
That's always been that way.
They see a 12-year-old white kid
and they see 12-year-old. Yeah. That's always been that way. Is when a black kid does something, they view that kid, they view the black kid as more being an adult, and they want to charge him as an adult. But when a white kid does something, they see it as a juvenile. That's always been that way.
That's why Tamir Rice only had 1.2 or 2 seconds to live once the police pulled up on him, even though he was 12 years old. They looked at him as a young man. You know, he was only 12 years old. You know, and part of that too is because growing up where we grew up, we see things that they don't normally see. Okay.
But that's at the hands of ourselves in that case.
Pardon me?
That's at the hands of ourselves in that case, though. If you grew up in the hood, you've seen, okay, you may have seen bodies and everything, but that ain't white people you seeing.
Yeah. You see it. You know, I saw, I think I was 10, 11, maybe 12 years old when I saw this guy, he put his hands on his wife. And they reeled his ass out with a sheet over him.
Jesus. She wasn't playing around. In the comments, I've seen a few folks, including JC, it said Carmelo Anthony has a 3.7 GPA. That really is not. That's crazy.
Look at, see, this is where the racial stuff comes in, because a lot of times when I go on different places and stuff, I just go right down into the comments and the things that they have been saying about this young man. Yeah, he killed. Yes, he did. Okay, he was wrong. Light it out. But he was not a thug. He was a student that was probably going to go to college. Then you get all the rumors because they think black folks don't have any money or anything. Oh, they spent the money on cars. They spent the money on this. All this rumor and all this BS because people are too damn dumb or lazy to just type in on the keyboard and get the correct information. The first time I heard that, the first thing I did was I took 2 seconds, typed it in, and boom, there it was, debunked. And every time, you look down in your chat, and you see at least 10 times down there where somebody said, oh, well, they spent the money on the cars, or they spent money on this or whatever, you know, and that's a bunch of BS. But we've been spending all our time, and everybody's, like I say, panties all in a wad. Meanwhile, you got the Mango Maniac and the Keystone Cops steadily dismantling our country. And we're concentrating on this stuff here.
Yeah.
We got a cage fight taking place.
What the fuck is up with that? What is up with that? I mean, he had a military parade on his birthday last year. And now they're trying to say this UFC fight is celebrating America's 250th anniversary. Oddly enough, we don't turn 250 to July 4th, from 1776. So this ain't got shit to do with us turning 250. This is your birthday present. I mean, if it was us turning 250, it would be on July 4th, not almost a month before on your birthday.
Well, you know, I drove Uber down in DC for 6 years.
Yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am glad that I am not driving Uber in DC right now.
Why not?
Because you turn the corner and you see the east wing of the White House government. You see this big ass monstrosity sitting in front of the White House for the UFC thing. You drive down the street and turn the corner, you see the DOJ, and there's pictures of freaking Trump hanging off the building. There's a couple of buildings down there that got pictures of Trump on there, like Idi Amin Dada and the clown and all these other dictators and stuff. He used to have those buildings, the pictures of themselves hanging.
Yeah, he's trying to make it like Pyongyang or Stalin in Moscow. Yeah, he is. I mean, that is what he's doing. That is true. I mean, he hasn't accomplished anywhere near enough to be having all these tributes all over the place? He's still alive and he's got a memorial. I don't get it.
And this is what you got going on right now. And now they still trying to. I'm watching right now. They're getting ready to take his name off the Kennedy Center.
Well, he's appealing that.
No, it's done.
Here's the problem, Travelman. I get what you're saying is done in terms of the courts, but this is the first time we've ever had a president that will get a ruling from a judge and say, fuck that judge. I mean, who's going to prosecute him? What are you going to do?
Yeah.
I mean, so even if a judge rules against him, if he say don't do it, it ain't like the DOJ or somebody's going to prosecute him. I mean, he may just say, fuck him.
Let me tell you something, bro. They climbing up the wall. It's coming down today.
You really believe that?
I'm looking at it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I'm looking at it. It's a crowd out there looking at it.
Okay. I heard there was a website. I heard there was a website where you could see that live.
You might be, but and then you got he trying to screw up the circle in front of you got between the Lincoln Memorial and Arlington. You got the Memorial Bridge. You got a big traffic circle there. You want to put a doggone Arc de Triomphe up there.
The Tribunal Arch.
Well, that's what he's calling it. Yeah. That ain't gonna happen either. They gonna stop.
I don't get why MAGA's not bitching about this stuff. He literally is just making DC into a very comfortable surround. Most MAGA are not going to DC. They're going to the grocery store. They're going to the gas pump. And their own life is not getting better under Trump. But he's getting all this lavish shit. He's gotten a jet. He's gotten a military parade. He's getting a UFC fight. He's getting a ballroom. Like, at what point do you say, dude, what about us? MAGA's not saying that. Why is that?
Because they have a severe case, and you know what I'm getting ready to say. They have a severe case of head up Trump's ass syndrome. And anything that he do, and the reason he's been able to do this is because the Congress has totally capitulated. Basically, they're eunuchs now because they took their goat ass off and they gave them to Trump. He has been able to get away with all of this stuff that he's doing. The price of gas. You know what? People, this is another thing MAGA do. They love to bring up the price of gas. Because they love to bring up Biden.
Right.
When Biden was in, the gas went up to $5. Okay, well, why did it go up to $5? Okay. It went up to $5 because Russia invaded Ukraine. Why is it up to $4.50 or whatever it is now? Because the Mango Maniac decided to attack Iran and they shut down the damn Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah.
For the last 100 days. And they so damn dumb, they can't even figure out, okay, we need to get this thing open.
Yeah.
And they just shut down a Black Hawk. I think it was a Black Hawk they shut down.
They shut down an Apache. By the way, you are right. This is a live shot on the video behind me. I think that can show this one. It won't be copyrighted, but they got the scaffolding up and there's a crowd out there. This is an MSNBC feed, or MS Now feed, but there are other feeds on YouTube where this is happening live. So I guess they are going to take it down, huh? Wow.
Because they are trying to get as much as they can, as much done, or do as much damage as they can before November. Because number one, he has totally lost the independence. He has lost some Republicans. He still has his MAGA base, but he has lost about 70 to 80% of independence. And without the independence, you ain't winning nothing.
But then I gotta ask, what the hell are the liberals doing that's so crappy that this still looks like a better choice? I mean, did the Democrats fuck up that much that the right is like, I don't even give a shit if gas is $5 a gallon or we're at war with multiple countries. I'm not voting for them fucking Democrats. What has the Democrats done that's so bad? I'm curious.
Because the MAGA controls the message. People, if you talk to somebody, you talk to MAGA, the first thing out of their mouth is going to be, oh, well, you need to quit watching CNN or you need to quit watching MSN. Then the question is, well, what the hell are you watching?
I just say,
but see, they control the message, and they repeat the same thing over and over and over. So and they love to go after. They have taken trends and all this stuff. That is the main culture talking. Been the main culture war for the last couple of years. They won't let it go. And the Democrats keep falling down into that same hole every single time.
Well, in the comments, Hanson Conservative says, just look at the last 4 years of Biden in the White House, and everything that was done there is your answer. So he's saying that Biden fucked things up so much that no matter what Trump does, it ain't as bad as Biden.
Oh, really? Really?
That's what I'm hearing.
You want to look at something? Look at the last year of Trump's administration. But he fucked up. If I'm not mistaken, The Economist said the United States economy is the envy of the world. Now, did we have inflation? Yes. Did we have a recession? No. Jerome Powell and his policies took us into a soft landing. If you remember during that time, everybody was talking about, they were looking at us that we were going to go into a recession. And we did.
Yeah.
Now,
they said it under Trump too. They were talking about Trump was going to take us into a recession as well, and that didn't happen. I got to move it on. I give you the last word. I do got to move it on. Go ahead.
Okay, the price of eggs went up because of avian flu, but nobody talked about that till after Biden had left office. See, but if you go back and take a look at the numbers, the economy in the country was in a pretty good position. Plus, in 2024, the people coming across the border nosedived. In 2024.
Yeah, but it was too late by then, Trevor. Man.
I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. But they put that they there. So what else happened that was so bad? What are they gonna talk about?
Transgender and girls sports.
That's all they got to talk about. But you know who made money? You know who made money during Biden presidency?
Who?
Farmers did. Yeah. Farmers made money during Biden presidency. You know who else made money during Biden presidency? Manufacturing increase during Biden presidency. The CHIPS Act brought jobs over. Remember when child poverty went down? When they came out, when they passed that income credit.
Well, I think the problem is you're competing with Trump's promises because you're talking about manufacturing and farmers and all that. A lot of those folks under the Trump administration believe Trump's promises that the farmers and the manufacturing, they believe manufacturing is coming back because Trump is telling them they got all these commitments from a lot of companies to bring manufacturing back. So even though right now manufacturing is less than it was under Biden, Trump got them convinced it's about to get greater. Just like he said, once the war is over, gas is going to go down to $1.50 a gallon. People believe that stuff.
Bullshit. Once again, head up Trump's ass syndrome. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? A lot of the factories and stuff, that stuff they talking about, a lot of that stuff was already in the planning stages under Biden.
Well, Trump is
what has he done?
Trump is better at delivering a message, and as you say, saying the same thing over and over again.
They stay on point. But you know what? Come January the 1st, 2027, a lot of that BS from that bill is going to kick in, and MAGA is going to be hurting. And you know what? They voted for his ass 3 times. They're getting exactly what they want. Because to me, they're freaking traitors.
Wow.
I can't stand them. Anybody that attack our country, try to overturn the election, and still doing that same BS now, they are traitors. And they do. No, you want to know who hate America? Damn MAGA does. Ooh. And they dress it up under that bullshit patriotism is what they do.
I'll leave it at that. Travelman, that's strong language. I'll leave it at that. I appreciate you coming through, though. Thank you. Wow. MAGA's traitors. Holy shit. Travelman showed out. During Biden, the right delivered the better than, you said Body Snatcher says, during Biden, the right delivered lies better than the left delivered the truth. The left of center side of me agrees with that. I do believe that. I think Trump would, we did a show the other day. There's still like 30% of the voting population that believes Trump won the 2020 election. They believe that with no proof at all. There is absolutely no proof that Trump won the 2020 election. At best, at quote unquote best, you can point to maybe something that don't look right, or they did mail-in votes, or there is absolutely no proof whatsoever that Trump won the 2020 election. And 30% of the voting public believes that. Trump is really good at getting you to believe shit that may or may not be true. We done multiple lives when he said in Springfield they're eating cats and dogs. I had MAGA all over the place trying to show me cats and dogs are being eaten. A lot of the videos are coming from foreign countries. Well, see, it's in their culture. No, he said it's in Springfield. Show me what happened in Springfield. They couldn't produce one, but they actually believed it. I mean, so he is really good at doing that stuff. Same thing with they're coming from insane asylums and the prisons. Have you heard of any prison or insane asylum that emptied all their immigrants and all them folks are in America? Do you have the name of any of those asylums or prisons? If you're MAGA, you don't need them. Him saying it is good enough. And right now he's convincing folks that there's fraud in California. Once again, it ain't based on any evidence. Well, they're taking too long to count the votes, so that means that equates to fraud. No, it don't. Suspicion does not equal guilt. If something is happening that looks suspicious, that don't mean you can automatically say, well, that means something is happening. This is him saying that with Hillary Clinton, if you plead the fifth, that means you got something to hide, like you're working for the mob. That's what he said about Hillary Clinton during her time. And then when he got convicted, or charged rather, he later got convicted, but when he got charged, he's pleading the fifth constantly. MAGA suddenly lost that whole opinion that if you're pleading the fifth, something must be wrong with you. When he started doing it, he went in court, and I think he pled the fifth dozens of times. The only thing he gave them was his name. MAGA didn't say that meant he had something to hide, but they agreed with him when they used that on Hillary Clinton. So I don't know that part. All I know is Trump is better at getting folks to believe him than the Democrats are. Even what did we say? What is the clip we played at the beginning of the show? I'll play it for you because I want you to hear this more so than me telling you this. And this is coming from Australian television, so they know what's going on over here.
It feels like deja vu, but US President Donald Trump tonight insists a deal to end the Iran war is close. It's the 39th time he's made that claim. The White House called off new strikes just 3 hours before they were due to launch. Tehran denies peace is within.
So that's 39 times he said that. I guarantee you MAGA has believed that a bunch. Not all MAGA, not 100% of them, but a lot of them believe that. 39 times he said that. At what point does he become just something you don't trust, you don't believe? We only been in war with Iran for a few months. He said we're coming close to a deal 39 times. Wow. To the point where Black Wolf in the comments says Democrats don't do nothing but lie. And I appreciate your input, Wolf, but I'll tell you this, what I keep saying on the show all the time. If Trump is accused of something, pointing to Democrats is not a defense of Trump. If Trump is lying, saying Democrats do it too, that's not a defense of Trump. Why is he saying we're coming to a deal with Iran 39 times? There's nothing about Biden or Obama that's going to change what he's doing or defend what he's doing. Why is he saying it? Does he not know what a ceasefire means? The guy who's responsible for art of the deal, does he not know what an actual deal is? 39 times. At what point do you say, yeah, we close, but I can't go out and tell them this shit again. Let's wait till the deal is signed before we go talk to the people. 39 times. He keeps coming up with that shit. See the comments. Black Wolf. he says because it's happening. So the 39th time is the charm, huh? Because it's happening this time, huh? 39 times. Yeah, the 39th time, I guess it's finally happening. Huh? I guess you don't realize how funny that is. Anyway, tap the screen. Get the likes on up. Wow, that's crazy. Trump's fake electric scheme ended in charges, actual Republican voter fraud. They don't believe that, though. They don't believe. I think MAGA has the mindset Remember, Democrats hate America. Republicans are patriots. I think MAGA has the mindset that only Democrats cheat in elections. Republicans are inherently honest. So any Republican they get charged with election fraud, they'll believe it's a bogus charge because Republicans don't cheat. I mean, think about it. Trump has been complaining about election fraud ever since he came down the golden escalator in 2015. Not once have you ever heard him say anything about a Republican cheating. It's been 100% claims of election fraud for over a decade continuously, and it's all been Democrats. And MAGA believes that. MAGA does not believe Republicans cheat. It's just Democrats. Republicans are patriots. They would never cheat. Only Democrats do. So if you believe Dominion voting machines can be compromised, even though there are a hell of a lot of Republicans out there that are savvy with code and computers and know how to get on the internet, none of them would have used this or exploited this. Only Democrats are going to do that. If you can cheat via mail-in votes, not a single Republican is going to do that. If you can vote in place of a dead person, only Democrats are going to do that. Republicans would never discover any of these avenues to cheat and do them. Only Democrats do it. And they actually believe that. They actually believe that. Don't give them the benefit of the doubt. They know they've cheated. They know they're evil. They don't care. Yikes. Let me go back to the box. Tap the screen. Get us up over the 100,000 hump, if you will. Pimp. Name Furback. Good evening.
What's up, Tim? How you doing, brother?
I don't even know, man. We've been covering a lot. What brought you up this evening?
Well, shit, I've been trying to get up since the beginning, man. That Carmelo thing gonna be a rabbit hole. So
It does that. It does that.
I saw that, man.
Now, do you believe he should walk?
No, man, we talked about it, man. I'm the one that brought up the black fatigue, man. That's pretty much what it is. But you know what Mike was saying, I don't disagree with.
Mike says he should walk.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't disagree with Mike as far as the law and you know how he was done in the court system. It may very well be overturned. I just, you know, I haven't really deep dived into it, but there's some things that's been out there saying that it's not exactly how it went. That's all I can say about that. But you know, that'll come out in appeals. You know, I don't like beating up on shit that we're not gonna get a quick resolution to. But that being said, yeah, this dude's fucking up. I'll keep coming on here telling MAGA and whoever else, I get your pushback. He got the trans under control. He took care of the border. Okay, great. The rest of this shit is trash. It ain't gonna get better. He's not gonna do shit. The 40 lies, I mean, what you expect, man? I mean, you get MAGA Reacts come up here, he's swinging for him now in the comments. Oh, well, he's a cheerleader. They all say he lied, but we should still believe him.
Yeah.
Like,
here's what I say all the time. I understand and I agree that biological males should not be able to play against girls in sports. What I don't understand is how that got to be such a big ass issue, though. Nobody is dealing with that. I mean, out of all the things that the average American citizen and voter are dealing with, from the economy to gas prices, nobody's actually really dealing with their daughter playing against a boy in sports. That at best, that is something in the future. In terms of current events, I don't have an understanding why that got to be such a major issue.
And I mean, let's agree on something. Let's get all five of them out. Let's just get all five of them out here, okay? Yeah, you know, I'm sure that's gonna change 5 lives somewhere in the fucking world. But I mean, that's why I keep saying, man, I've seen enough. I think people that just not in the code, because at this point, you know, I came on here before. I told you, I call it op top. You know, all my friends and mutuals, even you, everybody wants to talk to the MAGA. But what are they saying? You get motherfuckers talking about George Floyd went to sleep with somebody's knee on his neck. I mean, that's around the line of shit you're getting from them. You had a guy up here earlier that said, well, I don't have an opinion, but the first part of his whole 10 or 12 minutes, he's talking about crypto and all this other shit that's opinion. Like, so what the fuck, man? That's what I'm saying. This is what MAGA is right now. You know what I mean? And I get you guys. Sometimes it's entertaining, but I'm tired of hearing the same dumbass shit. In the beginning, before we had proof, it sounded intellectual. Nothing sounds intellectual at this point. I mean, it's just a code member.
Is Trump doing good at anything in your opinion besides the transgender and the border?
No. Push back. I'm waiting for you, Tim.
Give me a few shows.
Okay. hey, but to your point, you had pushbacks in the beginning because a lot of shit wasn't revealed. At this point, what is it to push back on? You know what I mean? Like I said, you get the guys talking about George Floyd went to sleep. You get a guy talking about crypto conspiracies and shit. I mean, what are y'all talking about? Is the straight open? No. But he said it's been open a few times. Now we just put pews and people taking their oil.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I absolutely will give Trump credit. If I don't think everything about him is bad as I bring up the border and the transgender stuff, but yeah, it is getting hard for somebody who's closer to the center. MAGA's going to defend Trump no matter what. I get that. That's their job. But somebody who's closer to the center, yeah, it is getting harder and harder to see the good in Trump. I'm seeing most of the accomplishments that Trump are doing is stuff that benefits him. I don't see a lot of accomplishments.
Yeah, and like I said, man, we talk a few times, but I call balls and strikes, man. You know what I mean? I really try to, but it gets to a point where I gotta believe you are who you showing me you are. Like I said, we're going on 6 years now of this shit.
Yeah.
A lot of promises, not a lot of them kept. You know, how the fuck you go? You know, I heard a guy somewhere else earlier talking about, but he's a businessman and he's just making sure. The dude earlier talking about he's a businessman and he's just making sure his family's straight. I got a family too, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, you shouldn't listen. Yeah, in my opinion, if you're the president of the United States, you should be suspended from running your business. Let your family. You shouldn't be running a business while running the country because there's an obvious conflict of interest going on there, and that's why Trump is making a ton of money, significantly more than he would make as Trump, the citizen businessman. He's making a ton of money off the presidency. You shouldn't. To me, once he is gone, they probably should pass a law that you are not legally allowed to run your businesses and companies while president. You just should. I mean, they did it on the honor system, and people just had the honor of not doing it. Even Schwarzenegger, when he became governor, promised the citizens of California, I'm not going to do any movies or anything while I'm governor. And he kept that promise. The first Trump's term, he indicated he wasn't going to run his businesses. This second term, he is deep into business running. And the conflict of interests are numerous.
And Tim, man, you know, and I get what you think. But, I mean, hey, that's kind of the thing today, you know. I think you think Carmelo needs some time because, you know, he did something.
Yeah.
Okay, rightfully so. He's just the president. Don't mean he don't have to do no fucking time.
And I just want to say something. I just want to say something real quick. My comments and my YouTube audience is loaded with my beloved MAGA, and I like hearing from MAGA. I don't mind the criticism, but you can't bring shit up that Trump does without some other. Obama made money and Biden this and there's no way what Obama was doing was no way, or Biden, no way in hell they were doing all this shit. Trump is selling merch that says Trump 2028 and showing that shit to foreign visitors and dignitaries. It ain't even in the same level, same universe. Go ahead.
But Tim, you from a city, I'm from a city, we both in the Midwest. I'm sure we know some movers and players. The ones that get caught are the flashy ones, the ones that talk all the shit.
Yeah.
So even if Obama and Joe and them was doing that, guess what? They was moving like a lasagna, you know, silent. So, you know, don't get mad because this motherfucker's in court all the time because he's out there throwing the shit in our face.
Yeah. I've mentioned that. And listen, we can criticize Trump all day long, but one thing I will admit in defense of Trump, if he didn't run his mouth all the time and get on social media and do all the shit he does on social media that has nothing to do with making America great, I think the number of people that don't like him would be far, far less. I think a lot of the hate and dislike of Trump has more to do with his mouth and social media account than his actual policies.
Yeah, and like I
I said, I see Michael Reacts down there. His favorite thing is he listens to us. We didn't elect you to be the fucking president.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, you know, he's like, he listens to the people. Well, I don't want the first dude that was on your show giving our president fucking ideas. That's why he comes out here talking about people eating cats and bullshit.
Yeah.
Because he listening to y'all. You know what I mean? That's not a good fucking thing. But that's what they want to feel heard. Hey, get your ass in a leather chair and pay $75 an hour. Somebody listen to you. But I don't want my president fucking listening to you and taking ideas from you. I'm sorry. So that's all I'm saying, man. So yeah, his name coming off shit, because they know he only gonna be remembered for the shit that he put his name on. Nobody else is gonna do it in memoriam or whatever for it.
I disagree with that. I think after Trump is no longer with us, he will go down in the South as a hero. Remember, they got statues to General Lee and Stonewall and all them folks. I think Trump will be reveled like those kind of folks. I think the MAGA hat will be a symbol that is proudly displayed. It'll just be in the South. It'll be a certain mindset. It will be a statement. I don't think it's going nowhere. There will always be MAGA.
Okay, and they'll be on top of a scarecrow in Pine Bluff, fucking duck shut, fucking Arkansas somewhere.
Well, yeah, it'll be in the South.
Yeah, and them same people wasn't voting before he came. You know what I mean? So yeah, once he's gone, I expect him to be gone too. Because this is what's becoming very relevant and apparent. The MAGA shit, y'all dwindling down. Yeah, y'all strong and y'all loud, but it's not a lot of y'all. And what I'm saying is, the Republicans and whoever the fuck else, we won't have another Donald Trump. It won't work.
I'm not sure of that. I'm not sure
If you
of that.
elect another Donald Trump, Tim, it'll be 100 years. This country will be fucked forever. Guaranteed. No one would trust us. I mean, why?
We may already be at that level.
Yeah, but if we get another one, it's a wrap. If we get another one, it's a wrap.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. So if the 30% love this shit, yeah, go ahead and nominate another Trump. And this country would be all 30% of y'all, because why would anybody else stay for this shit?
And real quick in the comments, Pepsi90 says that community says we haven't took out one letter. You guys are just hanging out. So he's indicating that it ain't gonna happen.
Okay.
And they haven't. They have not taken out one letter. He's right.
Okay, and guess what? Iran still got the fucking Strait of Hormuz closed too. So what are we talking about? Is the letter fucking bigger than the strait?
No.
Touche, motherfucker. Okay. What do you want? Hey, one thing we do know, the fucking truck is there, so they ready to do it. We're trying.
Here's what I don't understand. Why is he fighting this shit? Why are you fighting for why is a living guy, a guy who's actually alive, fighting to keep his name on a memorial? I don't get that.
Man, he's the softest fucking bully I've ever fucking heard of in my life, man. You know, it's like what they used to say about Joe being old and a mastermind at the same time. And now it all tracks, because they think this dude is tough and he's soft as baby shit at the same time. He's the pussiest bully that we've ever had, that I've ever seen. You know, he talks all that shit to Iran. Guess what they keep saying? Jump, motherfucker.
Yeah, Iran is clearly not scared of Trump. I gotta move it on, but if it's one thing that's pretty evident, Iran has no problem calling Trump's bluff. He ain't scaring them at all.
Yeah, he's not, man. But I say this, and every time I get on here, I'm gonna keep saying. I said it once. Hey, man, this shit's over. Stop swinging. Stop hoping. Like I said, go to church if it hurts. But this shit ain't getting better.
Oh,
hey, there's no reason this shit's gonna get better.
That's the
Screen said alive. Enjoy your show as always, bro.
Appreciate it, Furback. Thank you. That is depressing, though. Yeah, by the way, tap the screen, help your boy out with the hat, mustache, TikTok cap goes. I don't think we're even close, but thanks some of you folks that have supported the program. Tim, the community center, I saw that. Yeah, they haven't taken out a letter yet. He is right about that. Why would anyone want their name on a memorial for name? Yeah, I don't get it. That makes no sense at all to me. And thank you, Cedric Haney, for the hat, mustache. Yeehaw. But yeah, like you talk about Smokey, appreciate it. Out of all of the people that celebrated Elon Musk, indicating that he was finding waste, fraud, and abuse at Doge and things like that, How does a president putting his name on a memorial center not amount to waste? Why would the taxpayers have to pay for that? That is about as wasteful and unnecessary as you can possibly imagine. That him putting his name on that memorial center, who benefited from that? In what way, fashion, or form? That is about as wasteful as you can get. I don't know how much it costs to do it, but every penny of that was waste. To put your name on a memorial center. Trump don't think about your finances when he makes decisions. He says that too, behavior bender. He has said many times, I don't care about America's finances. I want to stop Iran from getting a bomb. I love inflation. He's came out and admitted it. He don't care about it. Trump will have his own memorial very soon, hopefully. Yikes. Said he doesn't. Yeah, he's definitely said he don't care though. Trump is as soft as baby shit, says Lonely Therapy. But most MAGA people believe that Trump is the toughest son of a bitch out there. I don't know about him being soft as baby shit, but I know the right talks about snowflakes. Trump absolutely is that. He don't have thick skin. He can't take an insult very well. Yet Trump and the right expects liberals to be able to laugh at a joke, quote unquote, or take an insult. Yeah, Trump is terrible with that. His skin is as thin as a newborn baby. He really almost translucent. He really is a snowflake in regards to that. In fact, that's the suggestion that Obama trashed him at a roast so bad that it inspired him to run for president. That's what Chris Christie says. Soft as medicated cotton. Damn. MAGA is now saying OPEC. Huh? Trump can't take a compliment well. I know he can't take an insult well at all. We have it blocked so Iran doesn't make money. My uncle is there right now in the Navy. Okay, that ain't helping us either, farmer. We want to say that Iran is wrong for closing the strait, so we're going to do it. Closed is closed. I don't see how that helps anybody. So both of them are involved in it now. Iran is closing strait and America's closing strait. It ain't just Iran that's not making money. It's hurting other countries. I don't see how that doesn't help anybody. Kevin Underwood says Trump is full of shit. Start another war on a lie, just like the rest of his character, costing us billions of dollars. You shouldn't be fighting our allies. Is not assisting us. Putin don't care. Fuck Trump, says Kevin Underwood. Wow. Look, to me, based on what Trump has actually told us about the war in Iran, everything from the 39 times we're getting close to a ceasefire to the many suggestions that Iran is quote unquote begging for a deal. We won the war in the first few hours is another quote he said. They can't do nothing. We can fly over their country and there's nothing they can do about it. All their military is at the bottom of the ocean. I don't see how anybody could possibly believe his claim that Iran was only a few days from getting a nuclear bomb and they would have used it by now. How much does he have to say that doesn't culminate into reality before you finally start questioning maybe the reason we got into this war was wrong? Because you do have Tulsi Gabbard testifying before Congress under oath that Iran was not developing a nuclear bomb and she was part of his administration. You do have her. And so at this point, he has said enough shit that hasn't happened to lead at least me to ask, well, why do you believe this part? I mean, most of what he said about the war has not been true, up to and including indicating that they bombed their own school full of girls and shit. I mean, that stuff ain't true. How much stuff he has to say for you to feel confident that maybe the reason we got involved in this ain't true either? I don't know. Do you think Iran will settle without compensation, Tim? No, Billy Watt. No, I do not. I think the only way Iran is going to work with Trump is he's going to have to give a deal that is similar to the Obama deal. Pretty much you got to do Obama 2.0, and they're going to get more money this time because you got to pay for all the shit you blew up and the innocent people you killed. No, and I think that Trump realizes it is incredibly unpopular for this war to continue. Iran realizes that too. So Iran knows that we can ride this out. There's only so much they can do from the air. They're spending a fortune chasing these $10,000 drones with $1 million Patriots or whatever the hell they cost, and using, Tomahawks. They cost a fortune. I mean, think about how much money we spent for this whole bombing that, quote unquote, obliterated them last June. Obviously, that didn't happen. So all of that money spent last June was a waste because you had to go back again in there in March. So most of that money we spent bombing them in June was a complete waste of money, resources, and finances. Now, a lot of the shit they've done now, they've already rebuilt it. So they know we're getting low on missiles, getting low on Tomahawks. They know that. So no, I don't see it. Like I said, at some point you got to start questioning whether what you're hearing from Trump and XF is actually accurate. Every single country that exchanges oil commodities must work through the beast of the system, but I'm sure you already knew that, genius. That ain't got nothing to do with Trump giving us false information, though. Nothing to do with that. We all know that there's more oil in Texas, Utah, and Alaska than the Middle East. We need to get the pipeline back going, and we need to start drilling and refining in our own country. Well, Trump promised to drill, baby, drill. Like I said, none of the stuff you're saying, though, excuses why Trump is telling us stuff that's turning out not to be true so often. If it was, one mistake is one thing, but he says things that don't turn out to actually happen a lot. Why is that happening? Going back to the box, we'll go to Smokey. Good evening, Smoke. Welcome to the program. It's just a white boy. Oh, somebody checked that on Clapper. Hanson Conservative says, wait to see when we have. Wait, hold on a second, Smoke. Handsome Conservative says, wait to see when we have the next Democratic president, how bad it gets, then tell me there won't be another Trump. That's a good pushback, but understand your definition of bad may be totally different than somebody else's. Like, for instance, we're involved in a war right now under Trump, and maybe to you, blue-haired transgender people walking around everybody was worse than being at war. So your definition of bad may be totally different than somebody else's. Smokey, good evening.
Good evening, sir. How's your day?
I'm doing good, Good to have you on. What am I getting wrong this evening?
Well, which topic would you like to talk about? There's been a lot that's been discussed.
Let's start the war in Iran. Do you agree with me that it's getting to the point where you can't take Trump on face value?
Yes, but that's for the average person. If he's said it's been ceasefire potentially 39 times, you look at every action has an equal and opposite reaction. So I just did a quick Google, AI search, which is, hey, do a quick synopsis on how many times Trump has said it, take 5 or 10, and see if the stock market moved before and after. It's all a market manipulation. It's all a test of the system. So if you can keep moving the markets and making a fortune with you and your friends, why wouldn't you?
So then you're basically saying he's corrupt. He's financially corrupt.
Well, we've already known that, but that's not just him. The system is.
Well,
are we at war? Are we at a war or an incursion? To be at war, Congress has to approve it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Amend the Constitution. So can an act amend the Constitution? No. So how can Congress abdicate their powers and duties and responsibilities with an act from 1973 and give it to the president, which gives them power of incursion for 30 days? If there's been no resolve or vote after 90 days, it automatically ends. So why are they pretending that they need to vote on Section 5C of the War Power Act? Is it self-operative?
They're scared of him.
Removed instantly.
Because they're scared of him, and they come.
Is the problem ever the president, or has it always been Congress? Because why has every president prior been allowed to use the War Power Act? Trump's just using the system that he's been given, and he's pushing the limits, and Democrats can't call it out because it exposes the game that they're playing with it since 1973 as well. Simply with the tariffs.
What are you saying? You're telling me that this Iran invasion without Congress, Democrats have done the same thing?
How many times have prior presidents used the War Power Act of 1973?
And went over 60 days too?
When was the last time we declared war? Because then it would be approved, the incursion would be approved, and that's why we declared war on terror, not on a country. Because to declare a war, you have to declare a war on a country. If you declare a war on terror, you go into any country on that bias, which then gives the ability to have the war on terror expand to the Patriot Act to then cover U.S. citizens.
Yeah. Fucking lawyers. The lawyers know how to manipulate the wording to give them an excuse to do anything.
Because we don't the word in the Constitution.
But the war on terror was Republicans. That wasn't Democrats. That was under Bush.
Still had to be approved by Congress, who financed it. Congress approves it. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 7. They approve all the funds for it.
Yeah.
We're also meant to get all public receipts and expenditures, which we've never seen.
Well, at least I will say though, even though the Bush administration led us astray with the war in Iraq, at least we were attacked. I mean, people did. I mean, this Iran shit. It's just to me, it looked like it was just fabricated out of thin air. That they were about to get a nuke and they were going to use it on us in the next week or two. When you got part of his own administration saying that ain't true, it just looks like they just fabricated this out of thin air.
100%. Because what is profitable for Republicans has always been military.
That's profitable for anybody.
We spent $1.2 trillion. Clinton had that set a surplus on our deficit. We were meant to be debt-free by the year 2012. When he left office, we were $5.7 trillion in debt. We were auditing the Pentagon for trillions missing in funds. And then all those offices suddenly went up when we had an attack on our country, which now no one asks the relevant questions of where's the money, and we're 40 trillion in debt.
Okay, hold on one second. Hold on a second. In the comments, Dragon says you can say the same thing about the Ukraine. We were not attacked, but we still joined that conflict. We didn't join the Ukraine. We gave them weapons. There were not boots on the ground. We weren't fighting.
We honored an agreement.
Yeah.
If Ukraine and these other countries had managed to maintain their nuclear weapons during the Cold War and the transition of power within that region, we wouldn't have known where they were gone. Because Ukraine gave up their weapons and under the agreement that they'd be protected, we created a safer, stable society for 30, 40 years. They didn't even say, hey, we'll keep one just in case. They said we would rather have a strong economy and a safe global infrastructure moving forward. So we will do this so that it cannot be caught up in the mix.
They sure fucked that up.
They wanted all of that happening.
Yeah, they
so
disarmed.
Honored the contract.
Yeah, they fucked that up. They actually deliberately allowed the monsters to disarm them. If Ukraine still had nukes, they would still have a lot of their population left. I mean, to me, I think, let me know if you agree or disagree with this. Because I go with the Second Amendment folks who often suggest an armed society is a polite society, but they're talking about with firearms. If everybody got a way of defending themselves, people won't fuck with them. I actually believe that could apply globally. If every country had an atomic weapon, I believe the planet might be more peaceful. Do you agree or disagree?
Your destruction.
Huh?
Again, I think it's looking and going, why would we even consider needing these things? How can we make sure that society doesn't go this way?
Well, but the problem is
society is a more peaceful society when in all reality, all you have to do is turn off an Amazon Web Service. Turn off one data center, you shut down all the banking, you shut down a lot of electric systems, you create the run on the banks, you crash the entire marketplaces. So modern warfare isn't done with weaponry, which is why Russia said they'd overthrow us internally, which is why it rebranded with the Confederacy as America. That's why America has structurally overthrown the United States, because our 250-year anniversary is until March 4th, 2039.
Right. But I do.
It's the most genius wordplay I've ever seen.
Yeah, but I do believe that if each country had their hands on an atomic weapon, because the minute Iran gets a nuclear weapon, they're going to be just like North Korea. We'll complain about what they're doing, but we're not going to fuck with them. The minute and what seems to be happening is the countries that are nuclear armed are fucking with the non-nuclear armed countries and saying that the non-nuclear armed countries that can't defend themselves are the bad guys. I mean, you got obviously Russia with Ukraine. You got America with some of every fucking body. You got Israel. The nuclear nations are the ones that are starting all the mess. the ones that are power and superpowers, and China wants Taiwan, they're the ones that are attacking people and claiming that the smaller country is actually the problem.
Now, look at the commodities of the countries with nuclear weapons and look at the commodities in the land of the countries without them.
Yeah.
Did you see what the colonizers do?
Yeah.
So imagine if we gave every country a set of nuclear weapons. Imagine we gave every country nuclear power plants and banned nuclear weapons. Oops.
Well, somebody's always going to be trying to get a leg up on having the strongest, the biggest weapon on the planet, though.
That's why we've got groups to prevent that. But what if we gave everyone nuclear power?
I think it would be a more peaceful planet.
So let's change the conversation. Do we want everyone having a nuke, or do we want everyone having nuclear power?
I think we like being on. I think we like being on top. We like being the wealthiest. So we don't want them having a nuke or nuclear power. We want to keep countries down because that just keeps us wealthier.
No, it keeps us utilizing their commodities because we've got them bent over and we take from them. And then even here in the U.S., we take our own land from citizens, federal land, and then we lease that to major corporations who then price gouge us and sell us the commodity back. They call it gasoline.
I think we're going down the same street. You're just on the other side of it. We're going in the same direction on this.
Correct. And the only people who can fix that are Congress. So Congress are always the problem.
Well, they're the ones that
give direction and guidance.
Congress ain't gonna fix that. Congress is the ones that they're benefiting the most from it. I mean, like if Trump takes the resources or commodities of another country, Congress in the Senate are probably going to be some of the biggest beneficiaries of it.
Because we have no oversight over Congress, because we people elect the wrong people because we're the parents of Congress.
That is true.
And we keep blaming the child of Congress, which is the president. Always been Congress since 1868. Like corporations are a person. They got rights of the people in 1906 and 2010, and they were just given rights to vote in Delaware. You are better being incorporated in the United States with a sheet of paper than you are being a born citizen. You will have more legal protections and more political influence if you are a corporation.
Damn.
Because U.S. citizens want to argue about labels of color and gender and then pay a corporation to go to the free person, 9 of them, and ask what permissions their label can have. And they call that rights. It's really sad how everyone's been indoctrinated to hate their personhood rights, hate the United States, want America, and gender, color rights and divisions. Let's get back to the United States. Dry towns or brothel towns, gambling or devil's lettuce, but all persons have the same rights. Let's shut down these sundown towns. There's a sundown town that insists means Congress has never done their job.
Too many people making money.
That's where we have to reset.
I got a question for you. In the comments, Evil B Babu says, can you ask Smokey the Bear why is Yogi Bear clueless? I know this is off topic for Friday, but please really would like to know the answer. What the hell? Smokey?
Because Yogi was eating the fungus. He was at the base of the trees eating that, where I was enjoying the greenery. That's why he's off with it a little bit.
Okay, I don't know what I'll leave it at that. He also says, ask him if human beings can't get the world right, do you think animals will be smarter than humans? Will they do it right? I say yes, but how do you respond to that?
Well, generally speaking, they always have. They've adapted a lot more. You see them actually more in unity. You'll see how they actually move in a wolf pack, where they actually respect society, the elders and things, where they look after each other. So I would say, even when, like, we've probably all seen the viral thing of the little ducks put into the lake, and that mom duck, whatever, running straight over, adopting those little chicks.
Yeah. I mean, the animals, the human beings are all about greed, me, conquer, colonize. All. The animals respect the environment. They only take enough to survive and procreate and keep the species going. They don't try to expand and do all. So yeah, I think the animals would always be better for the environment. I just do, because they're not trying to do that.
Now, what would it? This is again something telling. How long is it? This is the first president, and how long that hasn't had a pet in the White House? Animals know. Why doesn't Trump have a pet? Why did the eagle try to attack Trump? Animals know. So I'm just saying, why do you never see Trump with a pet, with an animal, with any type of creature that doesn't try to attack him?
He got Melania. She don't bite him. Melania doesn't bite.
I mean, that's a different type of pet. I wasn't going to go there. I'm glad you did.
I mean,
what you were talking about with immigration earlier, that's a different question. And even with the Epstein list, it's horrendous. But you think that these are the only people on the Epstein list? So if we have a problem with hugs, didn't Congress set up an entire task force like the DEA with huge mandatory minimums? And didn't they fund people to chase people all across the different states and investigate and bring mandatory minimum charges with asset forfeiture? So wouldn't Congress say, hey, if there's a big problem with the Epstein list, wouldn't that mean there's probably a big problem throughout society? And our job as Congress would be to make a 25-year mandatory minimum for P3DOs, asset forfeiture, and we're going to fund, instead of the DEA, the P3DOA or whatever it is, and we're going to have an agency chasing every online and in-person P3DO. We're going to fund it for the next 5 years. That's what they can do. So it's not about the Epstein list. It's about all these other creeps and what are we doing about them? This is where Congress fails us constantly.
Well, I've never seen Congress fail to the level they're failing us now. I mean, Congress has not always done its job, but at this point, I mean, they pretty much are just like, whatever you need, Mr. President. I got to move it on, Smokey, but I don't disagree with you in regards, huh?
I was just saying, I appreciate your time.
Anytime. Thank
you very much.
You always make a great guest, Smokey. You're welcome anytime, man. Thank you. All right, tap the screen. What does it say? Ultra, that is one thing that set me off. I raised German Shepherds, and the man did insult animals, which I can add to a lot of things. Did Trump insult animals? How did he do that? What did Trump do that was insulting animals other than suggest that migrants were eating them? Smokey, yeah! Appreciate the love, Smokey. Certainly, you're a winner in my book. Certainly, you bring a lot to the show, Smokey. For my last guest to not be an American, I think he said he didn't even come to America till he was a young adult. And man, he is very knowledgeable on the goings on in this country. When I was in Australia, I just often bring this up. I wasn't interested really in their politics, not to any significant level. I wasn't even interested in it. I mean, certainly not to his level. He don't read the whole damn Constitution. I never would have thought about doing it. Not to that level, at least. I watched the debate for laughs. The tism is strong with this one. What is the tism? Some animals have a great system within their groups, but some may be worse than people. Like pandas, they would be extinct for decades ago without our interference. Yeah, I mean, but that's the circle of life. Some animals are going to go extinct. I mean, if animals live in a dry area and there's a forest fire due to lightning, it may wipe out an animal population. That's just how the circle of life goes. There are going to be probably new species being invented. That's just the way it goes. I think man, unlike most other species on Earth, first of all, we're more intelligent than any of the other species, and we often use our intelligence to do bad stuff. I mean, just civilization alone has wiped out a lot of stuff. Chopping down forests to build shopping malls and shit like that. Animals aren't going to do that. Animals are not going to do that. At best, you may have some overgrazing, so you ruin the grass or something for a period of time, but animals are not going to do the stuff we do. I mean, just think about the damage we've done to the land testing nuclear bombs and shit like that. Some of that stuff in the 50s, those areas are still not inhabitable. They're still not inhabitable. Same thing with Chernobyl and all that kind of stuff. Animals aren't going to do stuff like that. So I think that, and think about it, the only reason we done some of that stuff was just trying to figure out if this device is good enough to destroy a bunch of mankind. So let's test it out here in the middle of the desert. We want to make sure this is powerful enough to kill thousands of people. Let's see how powerful it is. So we'll test it out in the desert and, fuck the land up out there in the desert. I just think that, the animals wouldn't do crazy shit like that. Men clothe them in. They don't have free will to run. Don't know. Well, you talking about zoos and all of that? Yeah. Tim, these guys are still sitting around. It's getting dark now. I don't think they're going to do anything. I don't think it's happening tonight. You talking about the removal of the Trump name from the Memorial Center? Here is an actual live shot of that. I don't think they're going to do anything tonight either. The truck is there. There's a line of people that you can barely see here down to the bottom right. So people are there watching. They haven't left. But you're right. It's 8:30. It's 8:23 p.m. out in D.C. I don't think nothing's going to happen tonight either. They put the scaffolding up. I mean, I don't know. There's a judge that said it's got to come down, but now they're doing they got a busload of people that went out there. Wow. That's crazy. That many people went out there to see this shit. Can you imagine what his funeral is going to be like? I hate to be dark on this. But if you got that many people show up just to get his name taken off a building, can you imagine what's going to happen when he perish? Now, right now, the New York Knicks is only one game away from winning an NBA championship, something they haven't done in nearly 3 decades. So you're going to have a huge parade and celebration if they do that. I don't think that's going to be big as what will happen if Trump perishes. By the way, people are getting on these buses, so they're leaving. They're leaving. So I think the idea that there's going to be something tonight, they're starting to come to a realization it's not going to happen. That's why they're showing the buses. People are starting to get on those buses. So it's not going to happen tonight. I don't think so. But I do appreciate you folks tuning in. 108,000 likes. I'll leave it at that. We will be here tomorrow. I'm gonna throw a seafood boil when he perishes. I'm buying. Somebody said I'm gonna throw a seafood boil when Trump dies. I'm gonna buy food stamps from a Republican. Damn. Oh my God! It's going to be a ridiculous celebration. Not something I'm calling for, but something that is very predictable. When Trump, remember when bin Laden, it was announced, Obama comes down the red carpet on my orders, and he talks about the mission to kill bin Laden, and he was announcing that bin Laden had died, and people running the streets, USA, US. It's going to be like that probably times 50, because it's going to happen worldwide. It's going to happen. I can guarantee you there will be footage of people in England and France and things like that are celebrating Trump's death if it happens while he's still president. Now, if he lived to be 90 or something like that, not so much. But if he perishes while still president, yeah, it's going to be worldwide. There will be people. You'll see, a video from Iran, people holding up signs with whatever their calligraphy writing is with a picture of Trump, and it will be probably the biggest celebration on the planet, probably since they ended World War II. I hate to say it like that. Maybe I'm wrong, but I really believe it will be the biggest celebration among many countries since the end of World War II. It's a lot of folks that don't like the guy. Just put it that way. There's a lot of folks that don't like the guy. I don't know how angry MAGA will get, but I see in the comments, Shane says jackass. And I see in the comments also, somebody else says you are tripping. You really think I'm tripping? I believe it. And I'm not saying I support it, but I believe it will be a huge celebration when he passes. I mean, he's really taking pleasure in pissing off a lot of people worldwide. Insulted world leaders. He's insulted everything from women, obviously the transgender community. So most gay clubs will have a party that night he died. I mean, you insulted a lot of people. From world leaders to the Pope. You just have taken pleasure in pissing off a lot of people. So yeah, I absolutely believe that. I know I'm behind on chat, but Tim, newsflash, we are animals. No, we're mammals. Difference. Humans are mammals too, but our species is defined by animal or human. Yeah. You can go with that if you want. Anyway, thank you for the 108,000. We didn't quite get to 110, but I do appreciate you folks that showed the program some support. And we will be here tomorrow evening, pending something crazy doesn't happen then. It's your boy Tim, the handsome liberal. You guys have a good night. I'll catch you guys mañana. Stay safe.